the wonder. Hello, everybody. The wonder of the clip show. I think Shades of Grey is pretty unique in science fiction terms, isn't it?
Yeah,
a lot of sitcoms used to do clip shows, if I remember correctly, particularly American.
Not as their season finale for a big show.
That was the season. It was the writer's strike year, wasn't it? That was
writer's strike year. They had no money and they threw something together at the end. Oh, hello everybody. Oh, and Dan, for my 2-minute usual weekly rant or happy news. So we got some announcements from Arrow Video yesterday. Ooh. So we are getting Jason X on 4K.
Yeah.
Jason Goes to Hell, which was their surprise. If I budget allowing, I will pick those up. They're releasing Steppenwolf, Robert Wise, which I'd never seen before, which is cool. A Andromeda strain upgrade, take it or leave it, and something in the UK. Well, once again, 3 good things. We haven't heard anything yet from Suck Factory, formerly known as Scream Factory, but I can give you a preview just on what I know. They're going to be a bunch of 4K re-releases that nobody asked for, disgustingly overpriced and crappy packaging, crappy artwork, and they're going to interview the second assistant makeup person about their life and call that a collector's edition. They're going to release a bunch of 4Ks of recent studio releases that even the studios didn't want to release and call that special. They're not going to let anybody know because they refuse to post on X because they've gone woke. So they'll only let the 5 people that are watching them on that Blue Sky thing.
No, really? They just on Blue Sky?
Oh, you know about that? Yeah, they abandoned X back in November, which is, given that most of their fans are, Gen X, which are rather conservative. It's actually funny. They've got like 2,000 followers on X or on Blue Sky to no interaction at all. It's funny. So yeah, so that's my rant on the. So once again, Arrow Video, you're awesome. Scream Factory, I don't want to get Dan demonetized when he does get demonetized, so we'll just leave it with that. So hello everybody. Also hashtag help Frank.
Well, whilst we're doing our little sort of. Whilst we're doing our summary of what's going on with the home media, old school style there, I wondered, Chris, if you'd seen that Species had been listed by 88 Films.
I did. I have 188 films released because they're insanely expensive over here. I have the Scream Factory edition of that. So this is, Scream Factory 5 years ago, back when they still gave a shit. So it's good Scream Factory. So I think I'll stick with that. Species, I saw it in the theaters. It was okay. I watch it. I like Henstridge.
I haven't given it a moment's thought in years. And when this popped up, I thought, ooh, maybe I do want to see that again.
I would say don't have it. It's worth picking up. But it's not something that I would plonk down $60 for. But I've got my collector's edition Blu-ray, so I'll stick with that. See, Dan, I've got my rule, which I adjusted when it comes to releasing, buying them. If it's something that I care about, or if it's one of my major franchises, I will upgrade to 4K if I have the Blu-ray, or if I don't have it on Blu-ray at all. Species is not on that. Friday the 13th is, so if I can afford it, I will get those. But if you haven't seen Species, it's worth the watch. The second one is terrible, but I also own it. I saw that.
Okay. This is what Species needs, right? There's one good thing that Species brought into the world, which was there was a South Park where Natasha Hendridge was in it, who's the woman from Species. Yes. And in the titles, instead of having a name, they called her the chick from Species.
This pre-show
when I was in the cinema, when I was in the cinema watching it, at one point there's
wasn't it a peep show, was it?
What? No.
A peep show.
It was nobody was having sex as far as I know. There's some kind of gestation hive thing that the species grows out of, and it sucks up the maid. This maid gets sucked up into it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So the maid's a black maid, right? And then eventually Natasha Hendricks comes out and she's like, somebody in the cinema says, "Hey man, that thing sucked up a fat black woman and spat out a hot white woman." I'm like, it's okay.
Yeah, you won't see that today.
That's the kind of soundtrack it needs, right? That's
the kind of commentary. We could all.
See, so if
Loud,
you haven't
authentic.
guessed, Mark, we've all been canceled. Like, I think what, 2 of us have already been
About
canceled
15
and we're 4
times.
minutes in.
You never cancel unless you want to be. That's how I look at it. So yeah,
by the way, did you notice
species.
my brethren, the Jewish character, how he instantly gave in to the femme fatale advances of species? He was like, "Yeah, 100%, I'm there. I'll impregnate you."
This preamble to our actual show, Mark, it's sort of getting worse and worse, really, isn't it? But this is quite a regular thing lately. Okay, so yeah, we have a guest, everybody. We've got a live chat full of people watching and listening along already. We'll come to the comments in a few minutes. Thank you, everybody who's there so far. This is our friend Mark. Mark's a seasoned podcaster and real all-round, right, with geek culture, Star Trek, Star Wars, but movies and stuff as well. You've done a lot of official stuff and unofficial stuff, haven't you? But people may recognize your voice from various podcasts. So reel off some of the ones that you've done, mate.
Oh, blimey. So in terms of writing and stuff, I've written for Starburst magazine for about 10 years now. So obviously all sorts of stuff in there. Star Wars Insider for nearly 20 years. I think 20 years next year. Wrote for Star Trek Mag for a little while. Late lamented Star Trek Mag. It's gone there. So that was
the title one.
Yeah, it's finished now. It became Star.
There's some great little infographics in it and like diagrams of. I used to love.
Yeah,
that.
That was a good magazine.
Yeah, I'd not written for it for a while. I did about 6 or 7 issues over about 2 years, and I managed to get Shatner for the first time in forever talking about the movies, which was kind of a cool way to.
We'll be chiming in on that later on.
Yeah.
So you probably know John Freeman then.
Not well, but I do know him. Yeah. So it's Chris Cooper was the editor when I was on my little stint, and then Chris came over to Insider, so which is where he is now. So. What else have I done? So podcast-wise, I did a show for quite a few years called Radio 1138 when I was with Jedi News, Star Wars site.
Oh, wow.
And now doing Making Tracks, so for Fantha Tracks. So, yeah, and we got like a network there, so we've got about 7 different shows. But I've guested on, I think I'm on my 99th different show, Star Wars show. So I don't know who number 100 is going to be that I've not done before, but I'm on the hunt for that. So, yeah. So
we haven't really gotten... Well, I did think we were going to cover some Star Wars on this show because it did look like some news was going to break because someone had sort of quit and they were going, and now they may be going but they've not quit. They're staying but they're not going but staying. So I've decided to stay away from.
Her statement was, "I'll always make movies. Good, just don't make Star Wars ones. In fact, you never have. Piss off and go away." That's right? Like no, she's going, and also she's updated the as far as I know. The raft of upcoming projects and the awful Ray by whatever Shinini, the one who does the lesbian documentaries about why men are all bad in Indian or something.
Yes.
It's like the worst choice you could probably imagine for a Star Wars movie.
Yes, an odd pick.
Thank God.
A left field choice, they would call that, wouldn't they, Mark? You haven't got Kathleen Kennedy.
It's a woke as hell choice.
Hang on.
Let's just check completely on their identity.
Mark, you haven't got Kathleen Kennedy on your Christmas card list, have you?
I do, actually.
Bugger. Okay, I think we're going to start the show. We better do a show over, guys.
That would be an awkward conversation.
Let's start the show. Let's start the show proper. Thank you, everybody, for the comments so far. We'll come to you in a few minutes. Where are we first? Where are we going to go? I think we should go here.
Shall we raise our shields, Captain?
At ease, Mr. Chekhov. Again with the shields. I wish he'd just relax and enjoy the amazing picture clarity of the DirecTV HD we just hooked up. With what Starfleet just ponied up for this big screen TV, settling for cable would be illogical. What? I can't use that line?
What is that for? Yes. Was that a deleted scene from Star Trek 6?
No, that was an ad. They did a bunch of ads. I used to love those ads.
Could be. That's the turbo lift opening back on the bridge, and we're here. But yeah, on the Millennium Falcon, strangely enough, 100% raw as ever. It's the Spacebook Live, your roundup of the week in geek for Saturday, the 1st of March, 2025. All of out there entertainment beamed directly to you on YouTube and Rumble, wherever it is that you are, however you're watching there. I'm Dan Hadley, Birmingham's king of the geeks, and I'm joined once again by a crack panel of expert pundits and voices ready to get cracking on all the hottest subjects of the week. We've already cracked open a couple of them. I think heaven knows where we're going to go. We've got the final frontier. We've got the dearly departed and a couple of other subjects to come to as well. So we want your views about all of that too, as ever. Let us know them in the live chat there on YouTube and on Rumble too. Let's meet the panel officially. We have from Fantha Tracks and from Making Tracks and every other kind of tracks and Making Tracks too on the Fandom Podcast Network. We've got Mark Newbold here, Star Wars and Star Trek expert. Chris, the mighty Bowles Trek over there too with Frank. How is Frank bearing up actually, Chris, this week? How's it going? How's the campaign going?
Well, I think looking at Frank speaks for itself. So as we learned last week, nobody is donating to Frank's GoFundMe. So he's still in prison because, for those of you who don't know, he did very, very bad things on New Year's Eve, things that we can't repeat because they're just that disturbing. But Frank doesn't remember because he was coked out of his mind at the time. So Frank was sentenced to prison, or he's in jail right now with ICE detainees. He's a goat. They're not being very nice to him. And they recently held him down and dyed his hair purple. So he's not having much fun with that and all the other things you would expect. So so pray for Frank. Find Frank's GoFundMe, give him some money because it's not looking good. He's having a bad time. Other than that, things are great. It's minus 30 here. Yay.
I thought so with Frank, as always, Chris. It's a bit parky where you are.
You say crack panel. I would say more crackhead.
Yes, that's the rabbi from another planet, as ever, back on the show. Thanks for joining us, as always. We've got Gary Akers, the Retro Doc, here too, as well, adorned with another fabulous cap from the collection.
Yeah, it's Star Trek Day.
Let's have a look. Ooh.
Star Trek Day.
Is it actually Star Trek Day today?
Well, it's every day Star Trek Day for me.
Is it like Reunification Day? Or no, that's wrong. Is it like what's the First Contact Day?
Well, that's April, isn't it?
That's April.
I was asking you. I didn't know. I remember
Enterprise Day is whenever I only watch the scenes of them rubbing the gel on. You know, I have a montage.
Oh yeah, they're excellent, those things. Okay, this is what I wish we would get from Star Trek. I would love to see a sequel miniseries of Enterprise where they come out of retirement to go on one last desperate mission to end the Romulan War, right? And you get to see the secondary hull on the Enterprise. Oh, it's awesome! It really would. It hands over to not Archer. Who goes after? There's one more in between.
Well, there's Archer, Trip, and T'Pol.
No. That was.
You mean that's in April?
April. Thank you.
Oh, Robert April. Yeah.
I'd go for that. An Enterprise sort of TV movie.
Like on little mini-series, right? And then you get some Romulan action. Oh, it'd be great. You have to have the Andorian guy in it, Shran, right? He was awesome.
Yeah, except Rabbi, given the current state of affairs, it would be Section 31 themed.
Yeah, no.
Let's not ruin it.
I'm always optimistic, right? I see.
I'm never optimistic.
Culture swinging massively, right? Just massively. In ways you couldn't even imagine.
Rabbi, right? Star Trek Academy got a second season.
I understand that it always had a second
Don't
season.
Shoot your bolt on this too soon.
That's right. I forgot. Okay. So I didn't say any of that because we're not. So I forgot I sent that to you, Dan. I sent it to a bunch of people because I was dumbfounded.
It's all prepared and it's all in the show. I'm happy to say before we depress ourselves with too much of 2025. We're big fans of retro kit as well as entertainment here on this show, Mark. And last week, I showed the guys an all-in-one combi set, which had got not just a CRT, but right in the dead center with a radio attached to it. And what else was in there? Was there a record player? So a vinyl record player that slid out the bottom. But right at the very bottom was what looked like a footbar. Do you remember that, Gary?
There was also a tape deck.
It was a tape
Right,
deck.
was it
Yeah.
real?
There's all manner of things going on. Now,
No
I've been looking for
8-track,
something
though.
that could
No 8-track.
possibly. There was no 8-track, no. But I think that if there's anything that can that could top that, I think the one thing that it didn't offer was portability. But I have found this week. Check this one out. I've never seen this before.
I've seen that. I remember that.
Oh,
I
wow.
totally meant that was from the early 90s.
That was a terrible idea. Okay,
Yeah, it was a terrible idea.
If that worked, because a friend of mine had one. What a piece of junk! Like you basically, Dan, you could call that your record destroyer. It's such a terrible. The only worse idea with records than that was in the 50s when they decided to try putting them in cars.
Yeah.
I've seen those. Yeah. So
It worked in Wallace and Gromit, though, didn't it? Putting it in the car.
Everything works in Wallace and Gromit. So what's the theory, do you think, here, Mark? You couldn't possibly fit an album 33 in there. It'd have to be a 45, wouldn't it?
It feels like it would have to be 45, but I've never seen that before. I am very curious. I mean, it's got everything else, hasn't it? But that's I would. I mean, it's portable. It's not like you could walk around with it on your shoulder, like
It's a weird
John Cusack at the end of.
Oh, that's how they advertised it.
Say anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's for DJing with.
I think it.
Right, so you can scratch the record.
Well,
Exactly.
that's a feature.
Could be. I mean, you could, in theory, walk around with it on your shoulders. It depends what your shoulders are like, I suppose, wouldn't it, Dave? Yeah. very much depend. But I think the speakers are detachable.
Yeah,
it's the make is Roundix, Chris. I've never heard of them before.
Well, this is in the days when like everyone and their brother had name brand crap. See, here's what I find really funny though when I look at those. So, judging by the style and from what I know, I think it's probably from around 1991. But yes, these things did exist. I did see one, and they were terrible. But here, I don't know if anybody else is like this, but whenever I see tech like this, remember, around 1991, this was like the be all and end all. You looked at this, I'm like, it looks cool. It's got the EQ crap on the speakers. Now it just looks like complete junk.
It does look like it'd fall apart as soon as look at it, Gary. If you try to take it anywhere.
I don't see how. I mean, you're walking along the street, bobbing up and down, side to side, and the record's not supposed to get scratched.
What they had, Gary, was it wasn't this exact one, but it was something that was different than that. It could play full size or 45s, and it had this little knob where you'd screw the record in place, similar to what they did when they introduced it into cars. And the needle had some extra weight on it, and I believe I remember at least seeing at least one ad where somebody's carrying one of these. Didn't work. Terrible idea. Would also warp the record because of. If you see right there, the record's not being supported by anything, and they had an extra heavy needle cartridge. So it's a good way of destroying your records. Like, it's just awful.
Yeah, it's difficult to imagine people sort of strolling around with one of those
it was
on
91.
their shoulders.
It was 91.
Maybe if they take them to the mall, like in a Kevin Smith movie, because he's Jane Silent Bob, they might be driving around next to one of those, perhaps. I don't know.
Dan, I just decided to check to see if on the off chance this was on eBay, and it is. One is on eBay right now for $1,750. If you want to, so go bid now, everybody.
I'll take two.
Well, no, it's a curiosity. This idea didn't.
I've never been that curious.
Well, no, Rabbi, there are a lot of dumb people out there. People pay $60,000 for like a JPEG. So there are a lot of tech heads out there with a lot of money. So as a curiosity, I could see it. It was crap.
By the way, okay, before you get into the geeky stuff, I think this to me feels like it's genre. Feels to me like it's geeky. I was just offline for Sabbath, offline for 25 hours. I come online to find there was a shouting match in the White House with Zelensky and Trump. Have you seen that thing?
I haven't seen it.
Awesome.
I've seen screenshots of it, and I've seen people sharing it.
Oh, Gary, you got to watch
this.
Awesome.
Everybody,
I've seen people from both sides of the aisle sharing it on social media with a big value judgment. But I'm going to watch it for myself.
It's in the eye of the beholder.
I saw it live. I was working at my computer, and it just came up. notification like, oh, Trump and Vance are going to go live with Zelensky. This should be interesting. I did not expect what happened. I've never seen anything like this in U.S. political history. Normally this is what goes on behind the scenes.
TV.
We live
crazy.
Oh, it is.
We
nuts.
live in interesting times, gentlemen. That's to be sure.
So, to summarize, at one point, Zelensky calls Vance a bitch in Ukrainian.
Really?
And by the end,
this was a meeting.
He looks like
he's
he's
on live TV.
Zelensky will look like he was going to cry by the end. Like, no, honestly, Trump and Vance.
Was he wearing that? No, was he wearing? Was Zelensky wearing that tracksuit he always wears?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this sounds amazing.
Black military uniform.
Okay.
I will
Vance
absolutely be watching.
class, and Trump is pure false. It was I've never seen anybody get a dressing down.
Well, they've got that kind of.
thoroughly.
I haven't seen much of them together, but they've got that kind of good cop, bad cop thing going on, which is very effective. Very effective.
It's crazy.
It's like I've never seen a VP and president team like this. But no, literally it is. Vance was being the calm good cop. Like he was, being reasonable, talking sort of in the intellectual way he does. And Trump just destroys him. Like it's for those of you who haven't seen it,
I can imagine
just look,
that.
it's like 7 minutes long. You will have never seen anything like this.
Yeah. It's I'm like I did a live reaction on my channel before it came on.
Ultimately, part of the thing it became, Dan, is basically a 10-minute Vance campaign commercial for 2028.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, I'd say
100%. He is so classy.
Yep. So
I look forward to. Well, we're going to be looking at his movie at some point in the next couple of weeks because I've watched it. I know a few of us have. Yeah. So we'll definitely come to that at some point in the not too distant future.
Dan, don't you have after watching that movie? Don't you have so much more respect for the guy, seeing where he came from?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Yeah, I could say in Britain because he hadn't got a profile. Yeah, it has sort of informed me, shall we say? We'll definitely do a segment on that.
What are these
in the next couple of weeks? Yeah. Yeah. Yes. So, with all that said, it's often more comforting to sort of swim back to the shores of nostalgia. We find, Mark. Can you have too much nostalgia?
No, there's no such thing as too much nostalgia.
That's right.
It's very fortunate you've said. It's very fortunate you've said that because recently we've been talking a bit about Masters of the Universe. Now, I was just the right age for this. But it was my brother that got all the figures. I got to watch the cartoon. I was more of Thundercats and the Transformers in particular. But I'm really, really fond of this brand, and I'm excited to see finally the live action version come together bit by bit. I mean, to see this in live action properly. Dolph Lundgren was all well and good, but I think we all kind of want to see something a bit more cartoon accurate. Were you a Masters of the Universe kid, Mark?
I was a little bit old for it, but I did enjoy it when I watched it. And I worked in a toy shop back in the 80s.
Really?
So, yeah, and it was just the tail end of the sort of the Masters. It was the era of Ghostbusters and Action
Force.
That
was awesome.
Yeah, and by far
the Men in Black.
Yeah, I was way before Men in Black. But the best selling toy that we ever had in the toy shop was Sylvanian Families, which probably says something. But yeah, no,
Families.
Yeah, weird.
The little woodland creatures,
those little flocked things. Yeah, that
really?
Was
I had no idea.
It was, and they're still selling them now, apparently. But yeah, no, I saw the shot of I don't know the name of the fella that's playing him. I didn't catch it, but he certainly looked the part.
We've got it here.
That original film was.
This is Nicholas Galzatine. This is our first picture. We can see him, but we can't see him. I think we can probably see enough.
No, but we can see how screen accurate it is. You can see the that is the whatever the sword of Grayskull, whatever. I have the power sword.
Because we saw a shot, didn't we, of them on location a couple of weeks ago, and we did see the prop, but this is obviously a proper a proper bit of promotional photography that's been officially released this time, Gary. So here, it's been graded, and we get to see some of the details of the props and the costume. So it's not very much, but I think this is enough to instill a confidence.
I really do like this idea of kind of like parsing out like little image by image to kind of build the anticipation.
Yeah.
It's an extraordinary cast, Mark. Have you seen the cast list for this?
I haven't. No.
It features people like Alison Brie and Idris Elba in key roles, and lots of unknowns as well, or people that have been plucked from other shows like Game of Thrones in roles here and there, in the kind of roles that you'd want to see them play, in great big lizard men that are built like a brick shithouse. So it's all coming together really, really quite nicely, I think. And this is Nicholas Galzatine himself there in an earlier. I think this is one of his what are they, endorsements? When they promote perfumes and things like that, as a lot of these actors do now. So very much looks the part so far. Yeah, so I'm even more excited than I was a couple of weeks ago with this, Chris.
I'm still pessimistic about this, Dan.
Waiting to be won over.
I still have a fear this may be an unintentional parody, but I will give it a chance. Like I'm pessimistic, but this is not something I'm going to write off. I will check it out. And as I have done in the past when I've been wrong, I will admit to everybody now, awesome. If I watch it and I like it, I will admit that I'm wrong. So right now, I hope it's good, but we know with these remakes, even before the period of woke remakes, we had the 10-year period of, 15-year period of remakes before that, where most of them were just, shall we say, not very good. So
this isn't a remake, though.
Well, remake, reboot. Well, technically,
whatever.
I guess, if it was a series, it'd be a remake. So we'll call it a reboot, even though I hate that.
What I always say about these things, Rabbi, is that when we see a teaser trailer, we'll have some idea of the tone of it, and if it's got a similar tone to Travis Knight's other work.
I think we do already. I think that it's being very informed by the success of Barbie. I think that's I think they're going to be doing something meta with it, the same they did with Barbie, like trying to bring it into reality. But I think, I think that's why it's here. And they're going to try and make it a more masculine brand, but I think it's going to be very tongue in cheek. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Frankly, I really do. I think it'll be a ton of fun. I think it'll be accurate and respectful to the brand in the same way Barbie was. I really do. I think that's the template they're following.
Because even though it wasn't aimed at us, Barbie did well, didn't it?
It did exactly what they needed to do. I agree
I think what they need to do, and I still have never seen Barbie, but Barbie made it a point to look like Barbie, the sets and everything else. I think one thing this has to do, they can't do what Canon did back in '87, where it doesn't look anything like He-Man. No. The sets have to be live action recreations of what we're seeing on the screen right here. If you can do that successfully and practical, not just a CGI background, give me mostly practical unless absolutely necessary, then I will give it points for that. Again, it remains to be seen.
We're a long way from release. I think. Well, actually, I think the release date's something like summer of 2026. Mark, that's quite a short turnaround. If they've only just started filming this.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose they can turn big budget TV stuff around. This is obviously you would assume it's on a different scale. But if Mattel are going all in and trying to, expand their properties, Barbie, what did that do? About 1.4 billion, something crazy like that. Yeah.
Huge.
So if they can parlay that into something similar for this, I don't know what the budget would be. I'm guessing it's got to be pushing 200 to build a world like that. So it's doable. I mean, they can turn them around, but that does seem like we don't know how far into the production process they are, or the pre-production stuff. A lot of stuff gets done before they even start shooting these days. Depends on if they're using stagecraft or what techniques they're using. But
they're certainly shooting. We've seen shots of that.
Yeah,
they started shooting in London last week. As ever, you can find our social medias in the banners at the bottom of the screen there throughout the show, so you can connect with all of us, and there'll be a little bit of a reminder about that later on. So I'm really excited about what could be coming there. Say, not a huge Masters of the Universe fan, but I think that the Motu fans have been done a little bit dirty over the last 20 years, waiting for a film that we thought was never going to come. And I think we can safely say that, barring a Batgirl situation, Rabbi, it's definitely going to happen this time. And I'm
I mean, I wish they would Batgirl a few things. Like, I mean, that might be a good segue to Star Trek Academy. I wish they would Batgirl it.
Before we get to that, I did want to mention this, Rabbi, because I took a look at this on your recommendation this week. So because obviously looking at the streaming sort of sphere at the moment, there are so many series, Mark, and we try to cover as much as we can here and recommend to one another various shows, but it's very difficult to keep track of them all.
The lack of having a cohesive culture is destroying culture, right? Because nobody knows when anything's on. We used to say, "Did you see Seinfeld last night?" Yeah, right. And we did that globally, right? The lack of having a cohesive culture is not good.
And if you've got 2 or 3 of the streaming services as well, Rabbi, you can. Well, if you're anything like me, you can sometimes forget which service you were watching something on.
Disney. I got Amazon. I got Amazon because I would like the free shipping. I got Disney because they do an annual renewal, and they did it without me noticing. That's why I said Disney. I have Netflix because my wife watches it, and I have Apple because I watch it. Like, I'm covered, right? I have all of them, right? I have no idea what's on.
How about you, Mark? Which ones do you have?
I'm very much the same, actually. Pretty much all of them, and for different reasons. Just Apple's the newest one I've got, and
Apple's great.
Yeah,
Apple's by far the best one. There's so much good stuff on it.
Yeah. So we're working our way through For All Mankind at the moment.
I like that.
Loved Shrinking. Just finished Ted Lasso last week, which was brilliant.
Ted Lasso's wonderful.
Yeah. So, and I'd seen clips of that for years, and I just thought, that's not doing it.
You got to check out Silo. Probably one of the best things on TV right now. That's fantastic, right?
Yeah.
And Severance is also very, very good.
That's the next one to start, is Severance. I'm looking forward to getting into that.
It's really weird, right?
That's the Adam Sandler show that you mention every week, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm loving it. It's on season
no,
2
Ben
right
Stiller.
now.
Sorry, not Adam Sandler. Ben Stiller.
Oh, yeah, Ben Stiller.
I've always got those two guys mixed up, Gary, for 20 odd years.
In all fairness, they mix themselves up as well.
You're too focused on Happy Gilmore, Dan.
I'm very focused on Happy Gilmore.
Maybe Happy Gilmore too, I believe.
Yeah. We had a picture of it a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So but the one I wanted to mention this was because I've watched it, Rabbi, on your recommendation. The first couple of episodes of 1,000 Blows on Hulu. So it's on Hulu in America, but it's on Disney Plus internationally. Obviously, because it's all part
and
of
I'm
the Disney
so
group,
jealous. You got to
Disney
watch 2 episodes. I'm just 1 episode in. Freaking awesome. It's essentially Peaky Blinders with different people in a vaguely different location.
It's definitely got the same flavor.
Certainly got the same flavor, and because it's written by Stephen Knight, who is just a fantastic writer. I like most things he does. He's known the woke elements that is to insert into a story that it makes it favorable in the eyes of the people who pay for it, and been able to weave it into a fantastic narrative. Right. So, I know there are many, I might seem on the surface a bit driven by identity. Like, it's a Victorian, no, not Victorian, before that, London, oldie times London. And there's a black guy in it and a female gang of thieves. It's brilliant. And all the leads are fantastic as well. I thought Stephen Graham will tower everybody else. No, they're all also, actually, I don't know the name of the black guy. Again, I've only seen 1 episode and I don't have much time. He's fantastic. The camera you gravitate to him wherever he's in.
He has got so much charisma.
Yeah,
you do wonder
fantastic.
Because they build up, don't they, in the first episode to Stephen Graham coming in because he's such a charismatic actor.
Right.
I think the first time I ever saw him was on This Is England, whenever that was 15 years ago.
Oh,
and so you think, well, how can anybody possibly match up to that? But yeah, they all do. I found I was slow to warm to this. At first, I thought I was watching the wokest program I'd ever seen. You got, led by this woman who behaves like a man, but it wins you over because it is so well made, so well acted, and you feel like you're there. So it's a historical drama series, and it's about the 40 Elephants, which is an all-female crime syndicate. It sounds awful, Gary, when you describe it to somebody else.
It really does, but
an all-female crime syndicate that clash somehow. They sort of clash with the world of illegal bare-knuckle boxing in the 1880s in London. So there's 6 episodes all in all, and the second season has already got the green light.
Oh, excellent!
I don't know if it's been based on the success of Peaky Blinders or whatever. We're in Peaky Blinders country here. Mark, you and I, pretty much. You a Stephen Knight fan? Have you followed his earlier work? And is this the sort of thing you take a look at?
I know this is on the wife's list. She's already put this on the to watch list. We haven't started it yet, but like you say, it's on Disney Plus, isn't it? Peaky Blinders, to my shame, I never watched.
Wow, it's really good.
Which is awful, being from this
I've only
part
watched
of the
the
world.
first couple of years. Yeah,
I used to drink in the pub in Aston where they filmed a lot of the stuff when I used to work in the jewelry quarter, which is crazy. And I never got to watch the show. I really need to dig into that. We're chunking through stuff at the moment. Stephen Knight's just been working on. We mentioned the Daisy Ridley thing earlier, and he's been working on that. He's just had a pass at that. So
he earned a few bob, and then he got to get out there. So
that's it. Yeah. Yeah,
he's setting up a new studio in Digbeth, isn't he? He's part of the custard factory.
Isn't it?
Did you see the movie Lock? I think probably directed by Stephen Knight. So it's basically just him. It's basically just Tom Hardy in a car.
Brilliant,
right? And it's brilliant. It's just him talking on speakerphone, and it's really good.
It's one of the most intense movies you will ever watch. Like, you're on edge the whole time.
That's Tom Hardy as well. So he works with Tom Hardy quite regularly, doesn't he? Quite often. I mean, this is unmistakably the same style as Peaky Blinders. Say, I've only seen the first couple of seasons of that. I meant to go back and watch the rest, Gary, but as I just said, it's so hard to keep track of these shows. And I wanted to get on this right away because I just had a feeling, the way the rabbi talked about it, and when I saw the trailer, it was ridiculously exciting. And being a Rocky fan as well, anything that sort of features visceral fight scenes, boxing scenes, even though I'm not a sports guy, I do like boxing movies and boxing films. And this has got so much of that, certainly the 2 I've seen so far. Is this something you'd be tempted to look at?
Well, the look of it kind of reminds me a little bit of Ripper Street, too.
Yes, it's very similar to that.
Yeah.
Very similar.
In terms of the style, I mean, I don't know. Is it wrong for me to be kind of surprised that this would be like on Disney Plus? I mean, that's not a slam against the series. I mean, clearly it's good, but it's like it doesn't seem to be that like Disney.
Oh no, it's because of the way they do
outside
Disney.
of America.
Yeah,
right.
Chris?
Hulu in America.
Yeah, no, Gary. Outside of the U.S., I've canceled Disney Plus, but Disney Plus in Canada is a little bit different. It's Disney Plus Star. So basically, what it is, it has all the Disney Plus stuff, but then it has a little tab Disney Plus Star, and then that's where all the Hulu stuff is because Hulu doesn't exist outside of the U.S.
Gotcha.
And
this
you know
is definitely
what? I think the Alien
cinematic in quality.
Will make me buy it.
I don't know where they'll put that. That would probably go Disney internationally as well.
That's totally going to be on Disney Plus outside America. Inside America, it's going to be Hulu.
Yeah, this certainly on the strength.
Which is obscene, and I love it.
On the strength of the first 2, I'm definitely going to be watching the rest of this, and it's actually reigniting my enthusiasm to go back to Peaky Blinders as well, Mark, and sort of catch up. There were six or seven seasons of that all in all.
And they're doing a film for Netflix. I think it's
they're filming it now.
Already made the movie, because they filmed the movie. Said I'm in Halesowen. Mark's not that far away. If you just between myself and Dudley, you know how close Dudley is to Halesowen, and they film a lot of the stuff at the Black Country Museum. They were filming a lot of the movie down by the canal in that stretch in between as you're going up to Briley Hill. So and I managed to miss the filming. I was out running. I was running just a few streets away, and I managed to completely miss it. But it's the fight scenes that really get me. Riveted to this. They're brutal. They're believable. and because they're good actors who have got into shape to play the boxers rather than getting boxers and making them act. Stephen Graham's got into ridiculous shape in this. He's proper shredded.
Done an incredible job.
Well,
so it's well worth it. Is this something you'd make time for, Chris?
Because it's on Disney Plus, no. As everybody knows, I canceled my Disney Plus in late 2022 and haven't missed it for a second. So just the chances of me actually seeing this, because there's so much backlog of other things that I want to watch, is unlikely. It doesn't sound terrible. It sounds decent, but it's not something that I would
I don't know whether it's
really
going to stick the landing. I don't know if it will stick the landing, because sometimes things, they do go south, don't they? Some of these shows, they go off the boil.
Well, the problem with streaming TV series, and this is why I've largely stopped following most TV series, is Netflix is bad for this, but the other ones are bad too. Whenever I get into something and I enjoy it, it gets canceled.
Yeah.
And the reason Paramount Plus is getting will be my next streaming service, which is I'm canceling at the end of this month. I got it because I finally wanted to check out the Frasier reboot, ended up really liking it, and then it got canceled. So
before you cancel it, I think that's got Brave New World on it. Is that Paramount Plus, or is that
no,
that's Peacock? Brave New World is very good.
It's Peacock in the US. In Canada, it was on Stack TV. I actually, a few years ago, Rabbi, you'd recommended it. I ended up watching it. I stopped after the second last episode when I found out that it had been canceled, and I'm like, I don't really want to.
I mean, it did end up kind of dangling.
Yeah, so it's I mainly watch physical media. I watch older shows that have been around for a while that I know we're actually allowed to finish. I actually recently started watching Russian Doll, which I actually don't hate.
That first season's good.
Natasha Lyonne.
The first season is excellent.
Yeah, so about halfway through that. So that's mainly when I watch streaming. It's stuff that has been allowed like years after it's been released, where it's had a complete run. But it's happened to me so many times. Actually, I think
my two favorite shows are canceled: Raised by Wolves and Westworld. Right? I would love to see more of them.
I'm never sure whether to be reassured by when something gets a 2-season commission ahead of anybody actually seeing it. You do wonder. You think, well, can it really be that good, or why have they okayed that for a second run?
It's a political deal they made somehow. So good for them in terms of production management.
Yeah. Well, what I could say about this is, say if it eventually gets a physical media release, because I do this occasionally, where when I wouldn't buy it on 4K, but I pick it up on Blu-ray in the bargain bin, which is where I discover a lot of things from streaming services that I haven't watched. So if I found it in the bargain bin or something like that, I'd probably pick it up. But my rule is I will never give Disney Plus any money again ever.
That's fair. I hear that.
I can see why. So let us know what you think if you've managed to catch any of 1,000 Blows yet. It's on Hulu in the States and Disney Plus internationally. A 6-part series by Stephen Knight, the creator of Peaky Blinders, and a second season is already confirmed to be on the way. So it depending on how much you trust them, it could be safe to watch it, safe to get into it, and just hope that they don't somehow cock it right up.
I would say Raised by Wolves is so good that even though it gets ripped away from you, it's worth watching those two seasons.
What streaming service is that on?
I think it was on HBO Max, but they pulled it.
Okay, that in Canada that would be on Crave. I told them what they could do with their streaming service last month when they raised their prices again. Oh, and Retro, I see. So, The Mentalist, is that actually good?
Oh, The Mentalist is great.
Because I think 5 years ago, I got the entire, in one of the DVDs collections I've inherited for my library. I inherited the entire series. I've never watched it.
Oh, Chris, it's so good. I mean, it has like an arc, but that carries on throughout the whole series. But Simon Baker is so fantastic in this. And if you like kind of like good, witty mysteries, it's great. Give it a try.
I think I'll check it out.
I think you'll be convinced after the pilot.
Well, it's no, it's been on my shelf for years, and I keep looking at it. One of these days I'll check it out. I'm like, I got the whole set for free.
Yeah,
Maybe
there he
that
goes.
will
You
be
can see it right
after I finally finish
there,
Dexter.
there, right there, The Mentalist.
Yeah, that's DVD.
Ah,
Yeah, I've got that.
Big set.
Other than the box, I've got them as each season separately, but I might check that out.
Do you prefer physical media or streaming, Mark? Which are you?
Oh, physical.
Yeah.
All day, every day, if it's available.
Good, good man.
Yeah,
You can come back.
But yeah, with the Star Wars stuff, it's tough because they tried to push everyone towards Disney Plus. Now they've kind of stepped back a little bit, but even then, it's not a thing you can be a completist about because they've not released Book of Boba, they've not released Clone Wars season 7, I don't think. So there's certain things out there that you can't become a completist for, which is why I love it. I'm not a gamer, but I love that limited run games re-release stuff, in newer formats with new packaging, and I think there's got to be an option like that, like La La Land do with the records. To get physical format music out, like loads of Trek stuff and everything else is out there. Why Star Wars doesn't do that, I don't get it, because there's an audience for it. So, but yeah, if I can own it and display, I'm a collector, so it's something to display. I'd rather that. I mean, streaming is convenient. Let's put it that way. It's if I can sit down on my sofa and stick something on and watch it when I want to watch it. I like the immediacy of that, but I think things are too easily accessible these days. There's no anticipation. It's just everything's
accessible,
to hand,
convenient, but sometimes a little confusing. Anything can happen, and
Mark,
you can find yourself.
I'm like that too. Like I'll have DVD or even Blu-ray sets, and something on one of the streaming services I have, it'll be in HD or 4K. It could be streaming in 4K. I don't care. I'll watch my DVD. Like one of my favorite shows is Seinfeld. I've never upgraded to the Blu-ray or 4K because those original DVDs from 20 years ago look absolutely amazing.
They do, actually. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's streaming on I think 2 services in Canada, but no, it's like I want to put my disc in the player. It's like some kind of weird. I don't know. I even asked myself, like, why do you do this? You could just click a button and watch. It's like
you
a compulsion.
saying to me. I have to be honest with you. I don't get it. Like what I do is I normally get my physical media and then I rip it to a hard drive.
Oh yeah, Rabbi and I have had this discussion many times. I think for me it's a compulsion.
The easier, the better.
If I have something and I paid money for it, I want to get my money's worth by watching that physical disc rather than watching it on.
I think you're paying for the content, not for the deliveries. Like, here's what I wish we had: like one streaming service, like a Netflix, the one that works, the best one, right? And then you get and everybody streams from the same thing, and you get whatever content you pay for. It just makes life so much freaking easier.
Yeah.
But the problem with Netflix, even some of their original shows, a handful of them have been taken off the service. Like
I'm just talking about
the physical media. Like any show throughout my, the almost 5 decades I've been alive, with a few exceptions, I now have all of my favorite shows from the 60s on up to the present. I have those in some form of physical media, so I'm not beholden to a streaming service because I watch stuff on a whim. One day I might feel like watching Cheers, one day I might feel like watching Seinfeld, whatever. I like having those physically where I could watch them anytime, or like the X-Files, which is out of print. I'm glad I bought the X-Files set because it's on Disney Plus and I wouldn't be able to watch it at all anymore. So I think I think a lot of physical media collectors, it's a compulsion. I think it's because we do have this physical thing that we paid money for and we want to get our money's worth out of it. So I don't know if you call it like a placebo effect. No, that might not even be something like that. But it's like, I own this. I want to watch what I own. It's even
it's more real. I mean, if you go over to your shelf and pull out something and open it kind of like a book and put the disc on, rather than just like go to your pad and call up something, it's more real if you have.
And you'll probably get this in Mark too.
You guys sound literally insane.
It's like
when I get to watch it,
the days of VHS when you love putting it in, you'd hear that clunk. But I love putting I've got like my I have 4 players that I'm using right now between 3 TVs, 2 4Ks, 2 Blu-rays. I actually have a Blu-ray player that's dedicated just for TV series. It's a Panasonic. It's up converting is absolutely amazing. But I love just taking the disc, putting it out, clunk, put it in the machine, watching it. And it's one of we all have our little quirks, but a lot of people have this.
No, I agree. I agree with it completely.
You're welcome to have it, mate. I mean,
But it's the same thing. Like I'm
giving up a kidney when I put a disc in. I'm like, really?
Well,
no.
Rabbi, it's like, but my brother, who's the exact opposite, he's like, he finds nothing more irritating than having to put something in his player. So if it's not on streaming, even if he has the disc, which he gets them all for free, from either me or like handoffs from me or my dad, he's like, nope, I don't care if it's on the shelf, and if it's not on streaming, I'm not getting up and putting that in my PlayStation. So it's it's the exact opposite.
Sometimes, I mean, not all compulsive behaviors are bad, are they? But it is the case that now and again we do need protecting from ourselves, and if we can't bring one another back from the brink and stop each other from doing stupid stuff, then thankfully, we can look to the past and look to public information films or public service announcements to show us the right way, keep us on the right track, Chris, and make it so that we don't fall foul of how can I put this? Easily avoided predicaments. You've sent in another PSA this week. That's a real belter. Do you want to give people the pitch for what's going to happen on this week's installment?
Yes. So last week I had some complaints that there wasn't enough live action boom boom in the electrocuted guy. So this one's going to start off with a bang, and then you'll get very depressed. This one's about a minute long. I remember this is one of the French ones as well from our friends in Quebec, because they
culture.
Like their violent stuff in Quebec. So this is to make up for last week. So you wanted violence, you wanted terrible things happening to people physically on screen rather than before the fact. So this one is let's roll it, Dan.
Qu'est-ce que tu fais? 34 ans, collision latérale. C'est bon, on va le passer. Facial, c'est le
Un accident, ça frappe beaucoup de monde. Des parents, des enfants, des conjoints, des collègues. C'est toute notre société qui est touchée.
80% des accidents sont liés au comportement sur la route et non à la fatalité. On peut faire quelque chose. En réduisant notre vitesse, en étant plus concentré sur la route et en respectant la signalisation. Adopter des comportements responsables sur la route, c'est la meilleure façon de protéger la vie.
On arrête.
Est-ce que la famille est là?
So who's depressed now?
Right there. That's why
it's like one of those. It's like one of those 10, 12-part Scandi dramas that you find on BBC 4, Mark. But I was a bit distracted by the copper who looked like Lofty from EastEnders, so I was taken out of it.
Oh, why? What happened to him?
That's full on. That's full on. I don't know whether that's I don't know whether that's telling you to drive properly, not use this car, don't go to this hospital, whatever it is. I don't think I'd leave the house.
Canada is what it's saying. Stay out of Canada.
On est Canada un pays avec beaucoup de problèmes et beaucoup de personnes conduisent comme les idiots. I filled in your French requirement, Dan.
We're impressed
because you're streaming in Canada, so we have our French requirement. So so for everybody who was kind of bored by last week's Electrical Man, so does this make up for it, or do you want even more violent?
It's strangely compelling, isn't it, Gary? Even if
I like the ones where you have these random guys beat these women senseless.
That's Alberta.
Yeah, that's crazy. That stuff. I was like, what?
Snapshots from other territories, Mark, compared to the public information films that we had when we were growing up, flying kites into electrical pylons and things like that. It's a real culture shock.
I never touched a frisbee after seeing that advert when I was a kid. And anyone going near a train, touching the cables, and no, thank you. And the kid with the fireworks, of course, yeah. And whatever Charlie said, just assume it's bad news.
Except we did a lot of these things when we were young. Back in the 80s and 90s, we were dumb. Did I ever tell you what we did with Car Wars when we were teens? Okay, so this is a public service announcement. I'm sure it's 30 years ago, so I'm guessing the statute of limitations has expired by now. But what we used to do on a Saturday night is we would take our cars, well, it'd be our parents' cars, and we would be driving about 160 kilometers an hour down a 2-lane road, passing each other and throwing things at each other. We were dumb.
Yeah, that's what teenagers do.
Yeah, like you look back
things at one another as well.
We did what? You broke up.
Oh,
has he gone?
You're back.
Hey, yeah. So we did. Everybody did dumb things when we were teenagers. It was, I remember one time we used to have these pit parties, and my dumbass friend. So somebody threw their lighter in a fire, and the lighter blows up at the pit party. So my friend, who's not very bright, had a can of butane in his truck. So he's like, oh yeah. So he's like, that's nothing. So he throws the can of butane in the fire. So basically at this point, you've created a bomb.
There you go.
So nobody died because we all ran, but it took out,
butane.
Oh, okay. There's a major thing in the chat here. Stephen Braddock says, did you know Kenny Everett voiced Charlie the cat in those public information films? Really? That cat was disturbing. Remember Charlie says.
I did know that. It's funny she mentioned the live chat because thanks again for putting that our way, Chris, because this is stuff that we wouldn't get to see otherwise. And,
the conclusion is I come from a very messed up country. See, now this is and as you, because apparently these commercials, other countries did not get them to this extreme all the time. These were our commercial breaks, folks.
It's very strange.
This is Canada. So yay. So next week I'm going to go for I've got really depressing, or I've got wonderfully violent.
Wonderfully violent. That's my vote.
Might as well.
They vote for that as well. Let's head over to the live chat and catch up with everybody watching on YouTube and Rumble and see what they make of it so far.
I'm going to tell you how it's going to be. With Scotch's lifetime guarantee. Take what you want both night and day. Then re-record, not fade away. Re-record, not fade away.
If it's Scotch, it's guaranteed for life.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for your comments so
Chris,
far.
we need one of those. Is there a commercial like the ones you've been showing us, which involves like inserting a VHS tape in a machine that goes horribly wrong, something like that? That would be fun.
I'm sure there's something about don't play with your VCR because it will electrocute you to death.
There you go. Find that one.
Look, the best I could offer you is the Young Ones episode, Nasty, which does indeed deal with that, but it takes about a long time. It takes about 30 minutes, not a minute-long thing.
Maybe I'll try that.
There are precious few that involve home entertainment kit, aren't they? Yeah, I've noticed that. Hail, everyone, announces Lord Thoth there in the live chat, one of our loyal moderators and crew members there. Thank you for being here, Lord Thoth. We've got Rose Kirby in the live chat too, who says, hello, happy peanut butter lovers day and the 1st of spring. There you
okay,
go.
wait. When are you talking about peanut butter lovers? Are you talking about people who like peanut butter or people who have sex with peanut butter? Right? They're two very different things.
No, that's a separate day.
2025, we can go either way, baby.
We try not to think about people doing things with peanut butter because then none of us will want to eat peanut butter.
I understand that, but look, I live in the real world, baby. This is what people do. It's sick. It's sick and degenerate. I didn't make this up.
Talking about sick and degenerates. Hi, Lucy. Welcome back to the channel, Lucy Meow. Good to have you back with us. Darren Ems here as well. So is Colin, who says, what? Why is Frank now pink-haired? You've not been following the narrative, Colin.
You missed that, Colin. So remember, he's in jail with ICE detainees. So last week they held him down and dyed his hair. He's not happy.
Hello, my lord, says Michael.
That should be the worst episode, let me tell you. It could be a lot bad. A lot worse.
Mark's joined us in the live chat as well, and so has Trev Retro there, who simply offers a humble hail from Trev. We have we've got garbage. We said garbage. Yes, we have said garbage. And Stephen Braddock there. Hello, fellow space dockers. Space dockers? Or spacebookers? We've always been space
Retro
dockers.
is a great name for a wrestler.
Wrestler?
Trev Retro.
What would Trev Retro's finishing move be if he was a WWE wrestler?
Pile drivers. I don't know.
Well, the top loader. The laser disc.
Yeah, I like the top loader.
Yes, Stephen Braddock, Lucy. We've got PD Rich here as well. It should be called Frank's Go Fuck Me campaign. Says,
oh, poor Frank.
Get more takers.
Oh, Frank.
And it's PD Rich reminds us that Robert April was the Star Trek captain in between.
I really didn't mind the black Robert April, right? That didn't
fantastic
bother me.
actor.
For me, the whole Enterprise was in a it was a new take on a classic. So it differentiated itself in many ways. I don't think it could be possibly considered to be in the same universe as the original series. But I quite liked what it is. I hated season 2. I thought that really fell off the wagon, as it were. But I thought the guy was fine as Robert April.
Yeah, he was a good actor in a pretty well written part.
Good script for the part. It's like, was it Chief Engineer Kyle? What happened? Did he get hit by an Irish beam and turned into from a small Asian man to a big Irish guy? Like what happened? Was it a Q-like event? No, it's a different. It's not the same thing. Okay,
right.
It doesn't matter. It's Star Trek. If you like it, okay, good. If not, fuck off. Right? That's basically what it is.
If they have different takes on the same character, I don't necessarily think it hurts. Yeah, because the character was so different as well. Yeah,
I like what's his name?
I never minded it.
I like Vic Montana as Kirk as well. You know, I thought that.
Oh, absolutely.
The Elvis impersonator. I liked all of them.
Yep.
I suppose the point of consternation for some people would be the ethnicity, the change it, because obviously the original actor. Well, actually, it was in the animated series, wasn't it?
Robert April was in the animated series.
Yeah.
But I think that was the strength of Stranger Worlds. It was a reimagining of Star Trek. And that I find interesting. That's what I'd like to see the franchise do in the movies.
I forgave them a lot because season one was so strong, Rabbi. I was forgiving of a lot in there. The things that they did change, I felt it was done to entertain us. And
yeah, exactly. And then it turned into woke shit. But you know,
people have mentioned People have mentioned the Trump versus Zelensky thing that's been going on, and apparently our friend Pass49 has posted the whole thing to his channel. Paz is a subscriber. If you're watching, mate, thank you. And we can see the whole thing over on Paz's channel, so I'll head over there probably tomorrow now. There's a few comments about that as well. Obviously, we're not a political show, but we do find this stuff amusing.
Okay,
and
that's
it is what it is.
This is pure culture. This is, again,
I would agree.
Cultural times.
No, I agree with you completely. I think it's a bipartisan thing. I think these are things we're spectators to history happening right in the here and now. Stephen Braddock says you can see the Enterprise with its secondary hull at the Starfleet Museum. So is that, he means the Enterprise from Enterprise? And
yeah. They were going to make a model kit of it.
The NX-01.
I really like the secondary hull. It was a really interesting evolution from that to, Enterprise. No way. I don't know what you want to call it. The 1701.
Lots of quotes from He-Man and the Masters of the Universe in the live chat as well. That original series.
That's really good, by the way. On Netflix, they have a great documentary about the making of Masters of the Universe. Fascinating when you get right into the psyche of it.
Is it like a feature-length one? It's called By the Power of Grace or something like that. Yeah, it's really good. I think I've seen that. There's 2 or 3 of them, but there's a really good one.
Particularly interesting one. It's like it's a 5-year-old's power fantasy. Literally says, "I have the power."
No, that's what it is. I think it'd be very easy to bring. It'd be very easy to bring children back to something like that. I think if adults take their children. I mean, Lucy does say, "I don't believe the movie will be a hit. Current kiddies are not interested anymore, and the toys and nostalgia isn't enough." But the idea is with something like this.
For the Zoomers.
it's for older. It's for parents to take their kids to. It's the same with the Transformers movie 20 years ago. That first Michael Bay movie, and that became a hit. People were over Transformers. Nobody had looked at a Transformer in 10 years plus at that point. But the movie was good. The timing was right.
Made that movie a hit.
It was a big incentive.
One scene when she's closing the bonnet of the car, right? Yeah, they put it in the trailer. That's why it was there. The robots were fine. Okay, that's that because nobody had seen anything like that before. That was.
It's hard to say how something. It's hard to say how something works best when it's never been given a true adaptation anywhere else. Is how I look at it. So I think when we see it, we'll be able to judge. But I think judging that this isn't going to work any better than the animated show right now is. You're putting the cart before the horse, really. Let's wait and see what they've managed to achieve. If you prefer the animated show, nobody's going to change your mind. But I think it's perfectly feasible that it could be turned into a good feature-length movie myself, if they've got the budget and if they get the cast right. I think it's that simple, like everything else. It's that simple. Peaky Blinders, the movie. Says Michael.
Skeletor makes me feel like they've taken the piss somehow.
I'm a bit bored with it. Jared Leto is one of those actors, I feel, Gary. We've seen him in so many things.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I feel like they're taking a piss a bit with him.
Like Pedro Pascal. I'm just fed up of seeing his name.
Has he ever really had a
Jared Leto was the Joker in that Suicide Squad movie, right?
Oh yeah, he's right. He
was actually quite good as that.
He started as Jared Catalano on My So-Called Life with Claire Danes, and it seems to me ever since then, like for the past 3 decades, they've been trying to make him a star, but I don't think he's ever really had, like, he was in Requiem for a Dream, aka the most depressing movie ever made. He was in Panic Room, but he's never really had a breakout role. He's been in some of the worst movies ever made. It's Morbin time.
Blade Runner 2049 fall on that for you? Because I quite like it, but I'm in a small minority.
Well, the movie, I've only watched it once. I mean to watch it again. I've seen the original multiple times.
I've never seen.
But from what I remember, that movie was also a bomb. So it's kind of like when they tried to make Chloe Grace Moretz the next big thing about a decade ago. I have nothing against her personally. Yeah. She was in Carrie and a few things, but I don't think she was ever in a big movie. There's just.
Well, no, she was in something before. She was like a child actress in something.
She was in Kick-Ass.
Yeah,
that's the one. Yeah, she was great in that.
Yeah, and then they tried making her a star. It just didn't happen. Although I don't dislike Chloe Grace Moretz. Jared Leto's been in some decent stuff, but he's kind of a meme. Pedro Pascal, I just can't stand.
Just bored. Where do you stand on Pedro Pascal, Mark? Because I think a lot of us have been fans of his or liked him in other things, but now I think we collectively feel that he's just everywhere all at once, and it gets a bit much.
Yeah, he is. He does seem to be in everything. We've got him coming this summer in Fantastic Four as well, which
exactly.
I like him fine. Don't get me wrong. He's basically now the voiceover guy for Mando. He's not really in the suit. Never really was, to be fair. I don't see him as Reed Richards, but then I did quite like the trailer, so I'm hopeful. Yeah. It's. I thought John Krasinski looked perfect as Reed, and I would have been happy with him, but. We've got to suck it and see, I guess. But yeah, he is. He's a bit too sort of. I mean, there's this whole internet daddy thing, isn't there? Which it's got a bit tiresome. So I sometimes think less is more with some actors if they're a bit more judicious in what they pick. I don't know whether he thinks make hay while the sun shines or what. I think he's probably worth more than that. So maybe it's his agents aren't doing him the best favors at the time. But a great picture of Sid James to put up. I love that. So yeah, no, I think he can be a bit too present in too many things, and it can wear off. And it's such a fickle world, it's just finding the balance, isn't it?
I think honestly, I think his problem is in too many obnoxious things. Like Last of Us, I thought it started okay and soon became obnoxious.
Yeah.
Like I thought the best episode was with those two gay blokes. What's his name? From The Office. Really good actor.
You mean Parks and Rec?
Steve Carell?
Yeah. Nick Farrell? No.
Steve Carell.
Steve.
No. I meant Parks
I can picture his face, but I can't remember the actor's name.
Nick Offerman. Right. That's probably one of the best hours of TV in the last 10 years. I thought that was fantastic.
I agree with you, Rabbi. And That's one of those things where I think I remember having arguments with people at the time. I'm like, it's woke. I'm like, no, this is actually how something like that would have been done
really
10 plus
really
years ago.
I really love that.
Yeah.
But I thought the episode where she comes out as gay was woke shit.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. And I think because it just seemed to be so insanely out of character.
Because Rabbi, it's because one example is storytelling and the other one is completely performative.
Exactly. And that's why Pedro Pascal was in too many of those things. It was in that awful Wonder Woman movie. They thought they were hilarious. And it was like he playing a Trump-alike, and he's always like, very, very politically, very vocal. I'm just like, it makes your patience with him go down. He's got to be doing a great job, and frankly, he isn't. I think the Fantastic Four movie is shot in the foot to a great extent by the casting. Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards and the female Silver Surfer. I think they're both ridiculously bad ideas.
And what you need
will only hurt the movie.
I think what's a real marker of versatility, Rabbi, is an actor who can play, for example, a chief constable, the captain of a cruise liner, maybe.
Yeah.
A school teacher, could also play a highwayman. I'm basically talking about Sid James again, aren't I?
You are. Isn't that all his roles in the Carry On movie?
Sid James would have been a better Reed Richards.
Yeah, I agree with you. Oh God, I think I quite like the Roger Corman version. Have you ever seen the Roger Corman version?
Yeah,
I have a long time ago. But Rabbi, I have to.
It loves what it is.
Just to make a distinction, though, I can't stand Pedro Pascal. I think the female Silver Surfer is a terrible idea, but I don't have anything against the actress Julia Garner. She was Ozark.
She's an actress doing a
it's
job.
like it's just miscasting. Sometimes you can have actors that are good for certain things, just completely.
Although Supergirl was good, right? In the Flash movie, Camille, whatever her name was, she was actually surprisingly good.
She was great. Yeah, she was playing the Supergirl from the Injustice universe, wasn't she? So I'm fine with that. I thought she was really great.
Well, and they're killing off the actual original Silver Surfer in the comics to pave way for the female.
And they're killing off Thor as well. It's ridiculous. Like they killed off Doctor Strange just before his film came out. Work that out. Look, I want to just say thank you for the comment to Will of the Fans, who's made it. Now, because of time zones, Will, who he's offered to come on the show, he wants to come on, and we'd love to have him on because Will's a great guy, a fabulous YouTuber. But because of the time zones, he's simply not up most of the time when we're on. But just to say hi, Will, it's great to see you there, mate. I hope you haven't broken your sleep, and enjoy your day, enjoy your sleep, whatever it is you're doing next. Just have a good one, and thanks for dropping in. Hope you catch up later on. Yeah, we're overrunning a little, guys, but we are going to get into it.
This show actually does work best in the middle of the night, probably.
I think for me,
it is one of those shows, between 3 and 4 a.m.
See, for me, it's perfect. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday.
We've got two talking points to get into. First of all, it has to be our catch up with all things from the Final Frontier and bang up to date, or sort of.
Why buy just a video game from Atari or in television? Invest in the wonder computer of the 1980s for under $300. The Commodore VIC-20. Unlike games, it has a real computer keyboard. With the Commodore VIC-20, the whole family can learn computing at home. Plays great games, too. Under $300, the wonder computer of the 1980s, the Commodore VIC-20.
This is the Spacebook Live at the Final Frontier. Thanks for the comments, everybody, and drop us some more, and we'll get right back to you as soon as we can. We are obviously we are very much on the campaign trail at the moment to bring back the heroes, aren't we? Bring back the heroes. That's what we say. # bring back the heroes. I don't think there's anywhere that needs a restock of heroes more than the Final Frontier itself, the Star Trek universe. Gene Roddenberry's Star Trek. I'm not really sure what's going on there at the moment. There's a couple of series kind of on the starting grid that are coming our way. A few things are being curtailed or sailed off into the distance. and it could be that the company itself that makes it is up for grabs as Paramount changes hands, people coming in and going out of play. Heaven knows what's going to happen. But out of the blue, there is a vision of hope for one Star Trek legend in particular. So the idea of Captain Kirk returning to the screen, played by William Shatner, has been talked about for decades, probably since not long after his last proper on-screen appearance in 1994's Star Trek Generations. It's generally thought of to be a poorer entry in the film franchise, and not the most auspicious final appearance for such a legendary character, is it, Chris? You know, as a huge Star Trek aficionado, particularly of the original series, it's never really sat well with the fandom, hasn't it? This as a final shout for Shatner.
31 years later, I still hate the way they killed Captain Kirk. What a bridge fell. I'm like,
yeah, it was awful.
Weird, isn't it?
But yeah, that short movie thing? What was they called again?
Unification.
That really redeemed a lot.
Yeah,
amazingly to me. I think that being both Kirk and Spock's send off. Right, I love that. I thought it was very, very, very good.
Well,
this was shit.
It was a lovely piece of
his own death, or Shatner retconned Kirk's death in his Shatnerverse series.
Right. And he did the books on tape.
Return in 1995, where Kirk didn't die.
It's like 9 books.
Yeah.
No, he was resurrected by the Borg, wasn't
That's right.
Yeah, I forgot. Well, basically, he did.
We've got various tangential projects, haven't we, over the years? Some are more official than others. I mean, you could say those books are official because they were published by official licensees, weren't they? And the O-Toy film from a few months ago, Gary, that lasted about 5 minutes, didn't it? It was very targeted towards people who were already really into Star Trek and knew where to find it, and it was very esoteric, wasn't it? And pretty impenetrable. But because it had all the feels, it kind of conveyed some of the sentiment of what we wanted, but it wasn't mainstream enough, was it, to be sort of consumed outside of the hardcore Star Trek audience. I think people are still hungry.
Yeah, I think in some way, and this is not to minimize what that short film achieved, because I thought it was absolutely incredible. Beautiful. But in some way, I think it was kind of a proof of concept for the company in terms of what their tech is capable of. But also, I think that the kind of rapturous reception for this was because it was like wish fulfillment on the part of fans. Fans have been wanting decades to see, a reunion between Kirk and Spock. And obviously we know that Leonard Nimoy's already passed on or whatever, but that didn't matter because it's the characters that the audiences wanted this for. And in that sense, it was a success.
I mean, look, this thing with Shatner coming back, it all depends on story, right? If it's shit, it's shit, and it's going to be shit. If it's good, it's good. That's my life. The chances are it's going to be bad. Right now, it's unlikely it'll be good. But who knows?
Well, look, we don't have much. We don't have much about this. We know there've been a few attempts to bring back Kirk over the decades, haven't there? Apparently, the late Robert Orci, he just passed away this week, didn't he? The writer of one of the writers of the J.J. Abrams films. Apparently, Mark, he tried to get Shatner into the third Kelvin movie, didn't he? As Kirk, but I don't know how developed that was before it fell through, but that was the closest we've got before, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was. I know they wanted to do it. Obviously, I think it's pretty much 10 years ago, within a couple of days since Nimoy passed away, and he had the opportunity to bring Spock from Prime to Kelvin verse. So there was that movement there. I think from recollection from what Shatner said back in the day, it was more of a cameo, and he didn't just want to be like a gimmick. He wanted to be integral to the story. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know who's working this up or what the state of play is. But after that unification project, and I think Sam Witwer, who kind of played Kirk in that on set and did the work he did, has gone on record as saying you think that's good. We're like 6 to 9 months ahead of what you saw, so you wait till you see the next thing. So there's more of this coming.
Oh, there's more.
There's more of this coming. So whatever that is, whether he didn't speak in this, so whether they've got the mouth, the voice thing right, and they really can push it on. I don't know, or whether it's a longer form thing, or I don't know what the thing is. But he was very.
Now you've got me wondering, because Shatner would have been involved in that, or at least would have given his permission, because they would have taken. They would have had to have got his head sort of digitally scanned, wouldn't they? But this is what he said over on X this week. So he tweeted out this. I don't know if you heard. I've been approached to resurrect Kirk. It's all still up in the air, or is it buried under some rocks? Whichever the case, I'm waiting to hear what the folks at Paramount have to say. So this is what he put out on X. But it turns out it's a follow-on from something that he'd said at a convention a few days earlier. And he went into a bit more detail then, where he said, I have been asked to come back as Kirk so many times. If Kirk is going to come back, it has to mean something. Mm-hmm. It has to be, this is kind of what you were saying, I think, Mark. It has to be the show. So he doesn't want to be a sideshow. He wants to be the show.
Yeah.
But I was so impressed by this writer, an unnamed writer who he's obviously been in contact with about this project. I was so impressed by this writer. So I said, let's talk after I'm done in Vancouver. So I'm awaiting a pitch to make it the show. It should come on Monday or Tuesday. So he would have had the pitch by now, or does that mean it's this coming Monday? Okay, so he'll know in a few days' time whether it's something he wants to do or not. I mean, is this exciting, Gary, as a Trek hat wearer and as a Trek fan?
Well, of course, because there's no more iconic Trek character than Kirk. The thing is, and we'd all love to see him back, but they have to treat the character with respect. It can't be some kind of lame technobabble thing, like it's a clone or a mirror universe thing or something like that. This is only going to work if it is actually the one true Kirk. Now, we could get something if they treat the character with respect. It could be like Unification. If they do it wrong, it's going to be Dial of Destiny. So,
Well, there is.
I'm my fingers are crossed. I would love to see it happen.
There is narratively a place where this fits in. If we remember from Picard season 3, they had that scene where they have Kirk's body.
Have his body, yeah.
Yeah. So it could work. And I am. This is one of those projects that I would be optimistic about. And I'm just amazed at how well Shatner's doing for his age. Like, it's an anomaly. And I would love to see, like, I think he's about to be 94. I would love to see him play Captain Kirk. I don't think you could really do a series basically because of his age. But I think maybe a movie. I'd like feature film, maybe. I don't know. Probably not Paramount Plus. I don't want and I don't think he wants Alex Kurtzman anywhere near that, because I don't think he cares much for the guy. Have the guys from Unification involved. Have Terry Matalas involved, because he knows Star Trek. He knows what he's doing. And I don't know if William Shatner would involve himself if it was a piece of crap, because he's been turning down crap for decades now.
That's true.
I think, the important for him is this is obviously will be the last time he'll play Captain Kirk on screen. So I think he will not do it unless it's good. And also, this is not something like Picard where, it's off for 3-4 years. This is something that they would probably have to do this year because, as amazing as he looks, Shatner is about to be 74. So, just pragmatism says there's only a small window probably where he could do this because, at that age, you never know what's going to happen. So if they're going to do something, they need to do it this year, I would say. But no,
how old is he again?
He's going to be 94 in actually this month, I think.
Yeah, this month, yeah.
Yeah, so it's I'm optimistic, but don't drag your heels on it. Do something. And I think this would be, William Shatner has been a hero to, I'd say, probably everybody here. I know he's
absolutely
one of my 2 childhood heroes. I would love to see him go out as an actor on top. I think he deserves one final chance to play Captain Kirk, especially after what they did in Generations.
Yeah.
And I think I've always said, I think Star Trek is one of those franchises that can be saved. And I think if you like Picard season 3 brought it part way, but then they threw away that whole concept. I think if Star Trek is going to make a comeback, I think if you do a Star Trek movie with William Shatner, even theatrically, I can't even talk, released. I don't know if you could really call it Star Trek 7 because only 2 other actors from the show are still around. So it can't be a Star Trek the original series thing because they're all gone or mostly.
And Chekhov looks like he's 105.
It'll be like Star Trek Kirk, like Star Trek Picard.
Star Trek Picard. Although Picard, it was the reason you didn't have them was purely ego on the part of Patrick Stewart.
I don't think we're gonna see him dodging rocks that the Gorn is throwing at him. I don't think it's gonna be that.
It doesn't have to be that though, or body double.
I do want to see him, as somebody said in the chat. I do want to see like a flying double kick that he used to do, like in the old original series.
I think
would be great.
I think that's pretty unlikely. Mark, as someone who's interviewed William Shatner, what's your gut instinct about this? Do you think he feels like that the character on screen is unfinished business, something he's unsatisfied with on a personal and creative level, or is this something that he's considering doing just for the fans, having met so many fans in the intervening 30 years? Where do you think it lies?
I think, like with a lot of actors, like with Harrison Ford, I think it's all business. I think he's perfectly satisfied with it. Yeah, I think he's perfectly satisfied as it goes. And if he'd have come out in, I don't know, 2010 or whatever, after JJ brings Trek back and said, I want to come back as Kirk and let's sit down and make it work. And maybe the face wouldn't have fit then because they're looking at a new era and maybe that's a bad time period to pick. But point being, I think if he really wanted it to happen, it would have happened because there's only one William Shatner and he's the figurehead of Star Trek in that sense. Whatever people may think of that, he is the guy. I think we all kind of agree on that. So I think it's a business thing. So if it all stacks up, I mean, the point of his age, there's no getting away from it. They went. I think they finished season 2 of Picard on Friday and started season 3 on Monday because Patrick Stewart ain't getting any younger, and he's 10 years younger than Shatner. And God knows what Lucasfilm must have thought with Dial of Destiny with the injury to Harrison and that taken as long as it did. So there's all these various elements that are more veteran actors, senior actors, especially when there's an element of action. I mean, Kirk is a heroic action character at heart.
But Shatner can't do that.
Of course, he can't do that. But they've got to figure something out. They've got to figure.
Technology and these advances. Do you think technology and these advances that we've seen in the Artoy film that the rabbi mentioned could play some sort of part in, if not shaving decades off him, then just a couple of years and making him maybe a little more spry than he is in real life?
If they want to go down the storyline path of pulling him out of the Nexus, which feels like a convenient way of bringing him back if they want to, a bit like they did in Ashes of Eden and Return and stuff and the Borg body stuff, then as you just say quite rightly, the tech is probably advancing quickly enough that you could do it to us more than satisfactory. You mentioned Dial of Destiny earlier, love it or hate it, there's elements visually of that are very, very impressive at the beginning. Now it's even better. We've got Andor season 2 coming. There's a good chance you'll see Tarkin in it. Well, Tarkin's going to look way better in that than he did in Rogue One.
Better every time. The problem with Dial of Destiny though was the stills look fantastic. That the young Inji moved like an old man, right? He didn't move like a young man, right? You need a different actor to play him. And then put a Indy skin over him, I guess.
And that's why Great Circle, the game that came out, even Harrison Ford came out and was like, wow, if I'd known that the guy was going to do it that well, I'd done it myself, which was a nice nod to the work that Troy Baker did. But you're absolutely right. That a younger guy physically, I mean, they even had Harrison do the voice and they didn't use re-speecher to sort of Tony's voice down, like they did with Hamill for Mandalorian, made him sound younger. So there was a few missteps in that sense. But even there, I mean, that woman was that 2023. So those effects were probably done in 22. You imagine if they did that now, it would be a massive...
What you can do now is crazy with AI. It's absolutely insane.
Absolutely.
Right?
So to your point, I think having... You wouldn't expect a 94-year-old Kirk to be leaping around, but you
no,
could
but
I was
Sam Winter, or whatever, the guy who played him. Yeah, he can leap around.
But Mark, the one thing that when I first heard about this, and of course, we all start thinking, oh, just like Star Trek Picard. Well, the big difference there is all of Picard's old comrades were there with him, and it was basically like a next gen. Whatever this turns out to be can't have that, because sadly, most of the actors in the original series are gone, except for Takei and Walter Koenig. And so there can't be that let's get the old group together feel on this. So I actually am not sure kind of what this would be.
Be flying solo.
I'd rather not see. I don't think I want to see de-aged. I think because Shatner is so amazing for 94.
Yeah, I agree.
And because this is obviously, the Nexus idea is terrible, but I think, thank God Metalis actually did plant that seed. So there's something that you can go with this, because, this is hundreds of years in the future. So by that point, they could freeze somebody and maybe bring them back to life. They could just science fiction its way around.
Don't you think, though, in story terms of Kirk being the action guy, the commander? I mean, they bring in, the Picard era of Star Trek. A lot of their processes are based on the gung ho nature of Kirk being the guy that led all the away teams. A captain can't lead an away team, and all the different things they brought in for next gen that meant you could have, for example, Picard sit on the bridge and have Riker be the Kirk guy.
Right. Yeah.
The sad irony is that of all that original series crew, the last man standing is the guy that probably should have died first, Kirk.
Yeah.
So I think there's a sort of a almost a pathos to that. So I agree that having 94-year-old William Shatner play Kirk at that point in his life, however they resurrect him and bring him back, probably holds more power than de-aging. Leave that to the Roddenberry archive to do that lovely bit of work.
And you can have action, like you can go with the Next Generation thing, and like you could get, like there are other Star Trek series that take place in. This would obviously take place in the TNG era. There are other actors from the good Star Trek series of the 90s that they could bring, like, I don't know, maybe bring in Jonathan Frakes again, or they could bring in, somebody from DS9.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, I think Jonathan Frakes is a bit overused. DS9 would be, because didn't you have his brother and
Thomas Riker, yeah.
Yeah, didn't he end up with a Marquis or something? I can't remember.
He got arrested, didn't he?
Yeah, they never went back to revisit that plot line.
No,
I think they all got killed. I think they mentioned
if this gets going, there is going to be such a tidal wave of colossal goodwill for this to happen if it really gets moving.
But I have to say the AI, the face one, whatever they use in the Otoy one, that only worked because it's in context of a really, really fantastic video. I mean, I love the shots of like close-ups of his boots walking through that garden, and he's all his hand. It's just beautifully shot with
it's storytelling again.
Yeah.
Well, do we know? Obviously, we don't know who he's meeting with, but I'm wondering if maybe it is Metalis he's meeting with, because obviously 2 years ago this was put into place with what we're seeing on the screen right now.
That'd be great.
I'd be great if it is, but I thought he was working on the vision.
Obviously,
that's right.
Friend of the show, Terry Metalis, who turned up in our live chat a few times, bless him. Yep. He's now far too busy to talk to us. He's off making the Vision show right now for Marvel Studios, I would imagine. Maybe that's filming in Vancouver. A lot of things do. Don't know.
Wouldn't that be an irresistible thing, though, Dan? I mean, if somebody approached Metalis and said, hey, would you like to have a hand in bringing back Kirk? I mean, how would you turn that down?
No chance he'd turn it down.
No. And I'm wondering if the disaster that was Section 31 has something to do with, because there's no way they can brush that under. Like, nobody saw how bad Discovery was in the end because nobody was watching it. This disaster was for the whole world to see.
It was awful. I mean, this was This is more embarrassing than a BBC Palestinian documentary.
It's hard to believe, Rabbi, isn't it, that it's God, it's hard to believe that this is just over a month ago. It seems like
I know it's like a year ago, doesn't it? It's so faded so quickly. It's so non-essential. No,
but they did just come out this week with a comic about it, a Section 31 comic.
Oh yeah, that was. Oh yeah, it's a one shot by USAID.
One shot,
like the lesbian comic in Peru.
Oh, bless her. I feel so sorry for Michelle Yeoh. Well, actually, no, I don't. She got paid
sorry for you.
She got paid millions for doing not much and a pretty crap job of it as it goes. I mean, I'm really excited about the idea of Shatner coming back. I mean, I loved all that stuff in Star Trek Picard Series 3. Even if this went nowhere, I thought it was very inventive and led through. Obviously, this bled through to the Otoy film as well. So it's clearly still on minds. Terry was involved in that too, wasn't he? So it's clear that something is still cooking. I think it's too much to be a coincidence that Shatner is now speaking publicly about it. I mean, I don't think anybody can stop William Shatner for talking about any project if he wants to. I'd be surprised if there's an NDA that can hold him.
No, we already know he does not care. That's why we love him.
He's been into space. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
And his profile on social media. There's a whole load of people who love him, who aren't necessarily Star Trek fans, who love him because of his social media presence and that kind of I give no fucks kind of energy that he gives off, which may be part invention as well. But the fact is it works for people. They respond to it. They relate to it. And it means that they want to see him play this character again. And it doesn't really matter how old he is, Gary. I've always felt that about his energy is what defines him, not his age.
You know, and I mean, not to make it political, I mean, I think that's also the appeal that a lot of people see in Trump. That kind of, as you said, Dan, give no ass. It's like what you see is what you get. You put it all out there. There's no smoke screen. There's no acting veil going on. And people love that authenticity. You know, it's the same thing.
Yep. There's
I would agree.
I'd say a lot of similarities between them, actually. Just say what you want. And I think we know that this is probably not about money because, Shatner does have millions. He doesn't, especially at his age, he doesn't need more money. So I think we can tell, like, this is not about the money. There's no way this could really be about the money. So I find that encouraging. Where he could have raked it in if they were going to pay Michelle Yeoh the $14 million or whatever it was. Imagine how much they would have paid Shatner in the past. Obviously, I don't think this has ever been about the money. I think this is about respecting the character. So again, another reason to be optimistic.
I mean, the fact that there was something. I'm sorry, Rabbi. The fact that there was something about this particular pitch which excited his attention and his interest more than the dozens of others over the years is itself really interesting.
You are correct there. I agree with you. Did you just see they paid Michelle Yeoh $14 million for Section 31?
I believe so, yes.
That's crazy. That's great. No. Man, again, that must be being paid out of USAID. That doesn't make sense.
We recorded a review the day after Section 31 dropped. Mark, did that? I mean, it got universally damned. Is that unfair to say? I mean, what's your experience of that? I still haven't found anybody with a good word to say about it. Really, how did you feel? How did you respond to it?
Well, I got to say, I didn't hear a single positive thing about it, and I've not got around to watching it, and I haven't really had the impetus to. And I can't believe that as a fan for blah, blah, blah years, that there's a Star Trek film out there that I've not seen. I've got no inclination to watch it.
Yeah, I know exactly how you feel, right?
Yeah.
That you don't even want to see a Star Trek movie.
Well, the Blu-ray's out next month,
so
Mark.
Strange.
Is it?
Oh, and sorry, I have a correction. It was sorry, Rabbi. It was 12 million.
12, there you go. I know. Good luck to her. Small change. Come on, if you can get it. I mean, yes.
Yeah, it's sorry, mate. It didn't. The negativity around it was, and I'd make my own mind up on stuff. There's things I've seen that I like that others don't.
Yeah, I'm the same.
We're all the same. But life's busy, so it's a timing thing as well. But yeah, I mean, I am going to watch it just to see if it's the car crash they say. But yeah, it's worrying that they would put so much money and time into, and a new venture like this, it's a movie on Paramount. It's not like it's a special. It was marketed as a movie. It's kind of, you're kind of supposed to feel like it's the 14th movie or however many films are in now. And yeah, they kind of screwed the pooch there. So yeah, I don't think they've done themselves any favors.
Mark, when you watch it, I sat through the first few seasons of Discovery. My jaw was dropped. I literally could not believe what I was seeing on screen. I know I was texting Dan, and he started watching it shortly after I did, and I don't think he believed me until he saw it for himself. Like it is unbelievable, right, Dan?
Oh yeah.
And Mark, at the end at the end of our review show, Mark, Dan didn't even bother asking us for our numerical rating of the
Mark's out of 10.
Yeah, he didn't even bother with that. It's like there was no need.
Oh dear.
The affection for William Shatner in the live chat is just as universal as the condemnation that night of Section 31. Yep. A good Canadian kid, says Darren M.
Yeah, from Montreal. Used to perform Shakespeare in Stratford, and about 11 years ago, I lived just outside of Stratford. So technically, at one point, I lived where William Shatner used to perform. So yay! And yes, for those of you that don't know, the idiots that claim he's a bad actor, no, he's not a bad actor. And this guy has done Shakespeare, and he's Shakespearean trained. So shut up.
Bill is Star Trek. Period, says Lord Thoth. That's probably fair. Even in a universe in which Patrick Stewart plays a major part, I don't think I would argue with that. Even the memory of Leonard Nimoy, it's a near thing. Walter Koenig is still with us. Reminds us of Matthew Pounder there. Yeah, love.
Anybody who thinks that Shatner is not a good actor, go find. It's probably on YouTube. Go find a 1970. PBS movie called The Andersonville Trial that was directed by George C. Scott, which took place right after the Civil War, a trial, and he played the prosecuting attorney. He is phenomenal in that. So go find that if you ever doubt Shatner's talent.
Or watch the performance in Star Trek 3 after his son died. Or like I was saying a few months ago, Incubus. Done in 1965, where he literally had to learn an entirely different language to film that.
Oh, Esperanto, yeah.
And it's kind of sort of speaking in tongues, because it's one of only 4 movies ever shot in Esperanto. But it is worth seeing. I don't know if anybody knew what they were doing, or saying, but no, like this guy literally learned an entire language. Well, at least the parts he had to speak to make a movie. So no, Shatner's not a bad actor. For anybody over here who remembers Rescue 911, William Shatner was the voice of Doom. Like literally, like it's a very dark. Basically, what the show was, for those of you who don't know, it was recreation of 911 calls. It was very grotesque, like just very, very disturbing. And the way Shatner presented, it's not the typical William Shatner voice. It's like it would even put Robert Stack to shame. It was just like literally William Shatner has been the voice of Doom. And nobody remembers Rescue 911.
No, I remember it.
Or T.J. Hooker, or he was great in Boston Legal.
Oh, I love T.J.
Oh, Denny Crane.
Yep.
That's my favorite role.
Nobody rolled over a car hood like Bill Shatner.
Or does anybody remember it only lasted 1 year, but the show he did after that when he was 80, Shit My Dad Says? I
did watch that.
That was fun.
It wasn't a great show, but Shatner is great. And like, this guy is not a bad actor. And even when we watched Star Trek, the original series, they always use that scene from Return to Tomorrow. It's like, no, like there's a reason why everybody knows who Captain Kirk is.
Yeah.
And that was because of William Shatner. And City on the Edge of Forever, just another brilliant performance from William Shatner as Captain Kirk. I'm like, no, he was not handy on that show.
Only given good performance. Did you remember when they blew up the Enterprise with it, Star Trek 3? Like,
Like
what have I done?
Magnificent.
My God bones, what have I
Like,
done?
again, you won't get goosebumps. So think about it.
Well, Star Trek 3, his entire
Spock death scene. These are great moments in cinema.
Yeah, well, no, Star Trek 3, like, I think that's his best performance as Captain Kirk, and that should have been Oscar worthy. Although the Oscars are a joke
I'm sorry.
now,
You mentioned this earlier. The reaction to his son being killed was
I'm like
breathtaking.
I think it's one of the best. I don't know why that. Well, obviously because of prejudice against Star Trek and science fiction, but he should have won every Best Actor award that year for that movie.
I agree with you. He should at least got a nomination.
Yeah,
he definitely should have got a Best Actor nomination. Do you ever see the movie Moon? What's the name of the actor in that?
Sam Rockwell?
Sam Rockwell.
Yeah, Sam Rockwell. He should have got the Best Actor and Best Co-Star nomination for that movie because he was both. He was the only guy in that movie. He played himself and another version of himself.
And he was in a fun series in the 70s that only lasted like a season or half a season called Barbary Coast with Doug McClure, which was kind of like a Wild West.
I know the one, yeah.
I vaguely remember that. I think that was shown here.
He was like a master of disguise. He was always the guy who was the putting on the disguises and everything.
I'll have to check that out.
Disguise, Star Trek legend. If you follow Bill Shatner over on X, I think that we should get some indication next week whether he likes this pitch or not. I don't think he'll be able to keep it in.
I'm sure. I'm sure part of the pitch is also creative control, because keep in mind this guy has written 10 Star Trek books.
Judith and what are their names? Judith and
Garfield Reed Stevens.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, they got a good pedigree right now.
Any books written by the two of them were great.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. I think yes, it's doubtful that Shatner actually mans that X account himself, but I believe that he does tell them what to say and maybe even issues it in some way, shape, or form.
Some of the stuff he says is too off the wall for him not to be manning it. I'll tell you right now, Dan, that is maybe some things are done by a publicity team, but a lot of the political stuff, no, I guarantee that is Shatner. Keep in mind, this man is also very well read. He's also in an article said he doesn't really watch TV other than the news. I think he once said, I watch the news as a sleeping pill. But I think one of the reasons why he is so sharp is because he is like so sharp at his age is because he is very well read. He's very articulate. So no, I would say that is definitely him on that X account, except for the odd maybe publicity post for something he's doing. Or
I think the way to look at it is that he is absolutely still in the captain's chair, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So stay tuned for all of that. We'll definitely be coming back when we hear some more. I think we'll hear something sooner rather than later about whether he's going to be involved in something, even if it then goes radio silent for a while. That's all part of the game that they all have to play, and Shatner will have to play the game at some point with this. How many of us are going to be playing this game? There's more Star Trek news. Paramount announced that their upcoming original series on Paramount Plus, Star Trek Starfleet Academy, has been renewed for a second season. But the first season is actually being made. They haven't finished making this yet. I think we have a premiere date, don't we, Gary? Late summer? Do you know?
Well, okay. I know that the original order was for 2 seasons, and I think that they finished filming, about like 2-3 weeks ago, because all those cringe-inducing cast photos were out. I think that the filming on season 2 starts later this year, definitely in 2025, but later this year. I know that, just like Strange New Worlds season 4 is right now in pre-production, but I think season 2 of this starts filming probably around late summer. They give the cast a few months off probably.
There needs to be petitions. There needs to be petitions to have this never released. Because the amount of damage this could do to the Star Trek brand, this looks horrific. This looks worse than
happening.
Section 31.
It's gonna. The chances of it being backgold are minute. You're right. It would be better to be Batgirl. I agree with you, right? It would be way better to like Batgirl this away. It's I think there's no chance it's going to be any good whatsoever.
Well, this is kind of billed as the spin-off or semi-sequel to Star Trek Discovery, is it not?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm losing track a little. I am Rabbi.
You had. Did you like it? Here's some more.
I am losing track. I am losing track of these various Star Trek shows and the Star Wars ones to a lesser extent. I'm losing track of which century some of them are set in, you see.
Yeah, this one is set in after the time jump of Discovery. So this is set like after the conclusion of Discovery, like the 32nd century or whatever. I think Holly Hunter is like the commandant of the Academy. Paul Giamatti is supposedly the villain for the season.
It's got a crazy good cast. Like a lot of really decent actors.
Bob Picardo is there as the hologram doctor.
Oh yeah, there he's on the back there. He's still playing the hologram doctor, I suppose, rather than another character. And that's the fella who plays the guy at the far right. He was in Discovery. Well, just before I gave up on Discovery, he was in that last couple of episodes. He's some sort of Starfleet head honcho, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's Admiral Pussy, you normally called him. I can't remember what his name was, but he's Admiral Pussy there to agree with Burnham. This looks like it's going to be. This being made just blows my mind. How?
But they must have attracted.
This is going to be a train wreck.
They must have attracted some of these good actors with something half decent. Oh, they're
serious.
Money.
I agree.
Money. They're not going to make back.
I think putting Robert Picardo in is so indicative of what's wrong with this bullshit. It's just desperately trying to make itself seem like Star Trek because it completely ignores what Star Trek is. It has no idea of the essence of Star Trek, this Alex Kurtzman. So the only time they made Star Trek is when Kurtzman wasn't looking. And accidentally they made Picard season 3.
Terry Matalas was accidentally able to get 10 episodes of Star Trek made.
Exactly.
Well, I think the biggest insult for this, and the thing that really pisses me off, is we were all expecting Star Trek Legacy, and they announced this shit. I'm like, and this will be very damaging for Star Trek because 2 years ago now we had a brilliant season, and then we watched Strange New Worlds go to crap. I don't know if anybody watched the end of Discovery, but that was a thing. And now then Section 31, and now this.
If you hadn't guessed by now, Mark, we're all pretty black-pilled to this. Most of us are. Star Trek Discovery, I held the course for as long as I could. As I understand it, a lot of the same creatives are involved in this. I mean, what's your take on it? Are you coming at it from a different place, and who's involved in this? What do you understand about this? Because Starfleet Academy has been a series of books and a premise that they've been circling for literally decades. What's your instinct about this?
When I was reading Starburst magazine in the 80s, they were talking about this around about Star Trek 4 time.
Really?
So as a concept, this has been around forever and a day, and it's felt like every iteration of Trek has had mention of a Starfleet Academy. So I was surprised they went the Discovery route. I wanted to finish Discovery. I interviewed most of the cast at New York Comic Con a few years ago for the magazine, and they're lovely people. So it was a show that I wanted to like, and even I, who's a really easy to please viewer, tapped out because a bit like Doctor Who, it lost its way in that Trek was always a great sci-fi show that was a morality tale, a fable. It was giving you everything you wanted. It was the Roddenberry thing about getting it past the censors, which made Trek such a clever show. And now that they can be bang on the nose about things, it turned from just nudging you towards the issues to hitting you over the head with the frying pan with it, which is where I feel, not that I'm a Doctor Who fan, as I've said, but whenever I see Who, it lost its way in that it was a message show rather than a show that taught you something.
No
and
argument for many of us.
There's a difference. So with Trek, it was going down that route. So I was pleased to hear they were doing a Starfleet Academy thing, but I can't lie, especially after especially after season 3 of Picard, absolutely nailing the landing just to incredible degrees. I really was hoping we would stay in that era because Titan felt like the most, or Legacy or whatever they want to call it, felt like the most obvious, logical next step. You've got 7 on the bridge of the ship, the crew's assembled, all the goodwill you could hope for, and then they've gone whoop, and they've gone that way. So I don't get it. So I'll definitely give it a chance. Hopefully I don't have to watch the rest of Discovery, because, as I say, it lost me. It totally lost me. I hear that it finished not too badly, but I've not seen it, so I can't say. So yeah, hopefully it's something fresh and new to tuck into. I'm always there for Bob Picardo because he's always brilliant. And
that's how they get us, though, isn't it? With those, they tempt us with someone they know that we're incredibly fond of.
Yeah,
well, I think also.
Sorry,
go ahead, Mark.
No, I was just going to say, sorry. Rabbi said, that they to parlay off the great golden era of Trek of the 90s by bringing somebody like Picardo in. We got a buzz when First Contact came out and the holographic Doctor popped up because, oh God, look at that. It's the guy from Voyager. It's a great moment. And it's cheap pops, is the wrestling phrase. It's an easy win. It's naming the hometown when you're wrestling in the middle of the ring to get an easy cheer. And it's kind of the casting version of that. Which, if it works, it's great. Next, as I say, Picard season 3 worked brilliantly because it was Next Gen season 8 essentially, and every character had moved on 20 years, so they're the same people, but they're not the same characters.
That's the thing. I don't think they're going to be leaning into or understanding or respecting the characters at all that they're using as essentially window dressing to legitimize themselves. When the essence of the show, especially Discovery, is antithetical to the rest of Star Trek.
Exact opposite, not in the way DS9 did it. That made sense. But I think, and at certain points, I think this would have been the disaster. Well, I think maybe had they done this in the 90s, maybe even in the early 2000s.
Yeah, but it's like now it's so tired. It's such a tired, empty, crazy.
Well, also it's like basically this is going to be Zoomers in space, and I don't think any Star Trek fan really wants to see that. So I just think this is, and Alex Kurtzman is so delusional, it's unreal.
Now the
first time I've ever seen a picture of him smiling, Gary.
Okay, the worrying thing about this is that, and I'm sorry I can't remember his name, the very, very tall guy in the center rear. He was one of the executive producers of Discovery, and he was the guy that directed Section 31.
Yeah, but he believes he's a producer on this. I don't see this going well.
That as Mark, back in the late 80s, Harv Bennett was the pushing for Star Trek V to be a Starfleet.
I remember that. Yeah, you remember that?
Yeah, with Kirk and Spock. Yeah, it's exactly what he wanted.
So this may not be the Starfleet Academy that Harv Bennett conceived, and it's not really the one that we want, really. I think we all know the kind of show we want.
There you go.
Look, this would be great if it was porn, right? If this was a Star Trek porn parody, it looks awesome, all right? That this is actually Star Trek? What?
If this picture was Starfleet Academy, the last 10 minutes of discussion would have been much different.
Mm-hmm. I may have some good news. Now we have Chris to thank for this. We may have some good news. It depends on your position on one person in particular. Paramount Plus have also announced that joining the cast in a guest role for season 1, this will be sooner rather than later, is the actress Tatiana Maslany, who was very, very popular off the back of a series called Orphan Black a few years ago.
Which in retrospect, I now find unwatchable.
It's amazing.
Well, she was also She-Hulk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's why she's here.
But she's a great actress.
I liked her in what I saw of Orphan Black. I watched the first season. I thought it was really good. But I just sort of got swallowed up with that thing we were talking about earlier on. It's another show. So I never watched any more of them. But when I saw She-Hulk, I couldn't quite believe it was the same actress. She was awful in that, but then again, everybody was awful in that.
Yeah.
She might be okay in this, but then again, it kind of depends on where the tone is, where the series is creatively. So basically what I'm saying is that this actress may have some residual fan base from Orphan Black to take with her to port over onto Star Trek. My instinct is that has gone. Yeah, Rabbi, I have to say that's what I'm picking up on.
She's a very good actress. She was just stupid. What can you do?
It's what I've gathered over the years, because I was a big fan of Orphan Black. My position, I think a lot of people's positions, there's some shows that become unwatchable retrospectively because of what happened afterwards. It's kind of like, we all used to love the first Wonder Woman, but the second Wonder Woman destroyed the first one.
Love that movie.
We like the first Joker, but the second Joker destroyed the first one. It's and I actually tried watching Orphan Black after She-Hulk, and you can't see this actress without seeing She-Hulk. And she was one of those that went after the fans and hated the fans. So you make yourself box office or television poison at one point, where it's, your presence. It's like Rachel Zegler, her presence, or Amber Heard, their presence will always be a liability. I think after you've pissed off millions of people with your attitude, I think you're done after that. Nobody wants to see you again. So I think the show was already going to lose. I think this just makes it even worse. I don't think I will even check out the first episode of this. I just have no interest in it.
How about you, Rabbi?
I'm going to watch it, but I mean, I already hate every second of it. I mean, I don't know. I tapped out, I think, in the last season of Discovery, and it was awful. Right? Discovery was like, it only makes sense if Michael Burnham is in fact insane, and this is her insane paranoid delusions of grandeur.
Rabbi, I tapped out in season 3. There was the pronoun episode. That's when I gave up.
No, because I pushed through it, right? Because I want to see how bad it could get, but I couldn't take the torture, right? I really tapped out by, I think maybe it was the first or second episode of the last season. It was so awful. Again, I can't reiterate how it was awful for the most awful reasons, right? It was like somehow acting against this non-existent hatred of women that like what are they talking about? It's just, I mean, you had this mostly female crew of all, these like incredibly talented strong women, and they're played by actresses who should be in a Geico commercial, picking up the kids, right? Especially the one who played the helmswoman. Like, at no point did she convince me, or her like 9 foot tall Jamaican buddy, the black woman. Like, what is going on? They mostly look, the British crew, who I didn't know the names for the most part, looked like the Muppet Babies. It was awful. When they went into the innards of the what ship they were on? It was they're on Discovery, right? When they went to the end of Discovery, suddenly it's a cavernous mansion with like turbo lifts going shit like everywhere. And again, I think it was the 3rd season where she had the Iron Man suit and she falls through a time hole right at the beginning. Oh yeah, beginning of the 3rd season, and she lands on this planet, and the director says, "Okay, I want you to give me a huge emotion," right? And so she does a few different takes, and then they use all of them. Right, it's the most insane performance. Like, she's got these crazy eyes, and she's like perfect at everything. It's shock. It just gets worse, and then you introduce like the incredibly creepy trans characters who are acting like an old married couple, and they're both 17. I'm like, there's nothing about this.
It fries your brain.
Sick and disturbing. I couldn't stand the Dr. Gay. His only defining thing was he's gay. And, because he's gay, he's awesome. Because he's gay. I'm Dr. Gay. And that was the only thing we knew about. That he was gay. At least Stamets had a bit of a bloody character going on. Right? I would have watched more of a show.
That's why I enjoyed the Doctor character in Strangely World so well in season 1, because he was a rounded person. He wasn't just a black guy, or he wasn't even just a father. He was everything. He was like it was so well written at first. Yeah.
Fantastic. Killed him in the 2nd season, but
more starships, more action, more Shatner, and less sticking around. Ideally, Mark, we've kept you past your allotted time, haven't we, mate?
I have. I'm taxi driving for the missus today, so I've got to go and pick her up from the in-laws.
Well, you don't want to be late for that.
No.
And so people can.
I understand.
We've got one more Trek thing to get into. We're gonna have to touch on it without you, sadly. But we do hope to tempt you back. In the meantime, people can hear you on what are the podcasts again, and which social medias do you want to direct people towards? We've got one up, but there must be more.
You'll find me at panthertracks.com is the place you'll find me. That's where most of my stuff is. Writing for Star Wars Insider, writing for Starburst Magazine, and podcast Making Tracks and Making Treks as well on the Fandom Podcast Network. And a few other bits and bobs. I'm always floating around somewhere. But I've really enjoyed tonight, guys. Really good fun. Hope to do it again.
I loved it.
We'd love to have you back. Thanks for being such a good sport. And we'll have you back on sooner rather than later, mate. But hope the missus isn't too cross with you and drive safely.
She's always cross with me, but don't worry about it. Cheers, lads.
Good night, mate. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Good guy. Yeah. What next? Yes, Starships. Classic models of the Enterprise, mostly, and some runabouts and all those kind of things, all harkening back to those fabulous shows and movies of the past that live in our memories and that get replayed over and over again. Probably the most lauded of which is not that, but I've got the wrong picture up. Not that, but this one. Where are you? I was looking to go into a completely different picture, so just bear with me while I talk absolute nonsense. It's this. So, it's this. So Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, the director's cut, no less. Everybody loves this movie. I don't think that's a controversial thing to say. A sequel to a classic episode of Star Trek itself, Space Seed. Which season was that, Chris?
That was season 1, episode 22.
Blimey, he even knows the episode numbers. Heavens above. Now, for several years, the director of Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, Nicholas Meyer, has been talking about another project, hasn't he, that's connected to this film, a prequel, solely revolving around the character of Khan, but positioned in between Space Seed and the film. Initially, it was going to be some sort of miniseries, wasn't it? And this is going back several years now to around the time where Discovery originally debuted. We've talked about it before on this show when we had Rob Meyer-Burnett on. He talked about it too. So this is not a secret. And for a while, Nicholas Meyer was talking about it because there was genuine sort of sorrow in his voice that it did look like it wasn't going to happen, and that those scripts, which are supposed to be like really, really tight, because Meyer's written them all, isn't he? That they would never be seen or heard. But it does seem like the project has surfaced again, Star Trek Khan, and not only that, it has now got a star attached that cast the actor, the Lost, he's in Lost, wasn't he?
Oh, Naveen
Andrews as Khan in this. Yeah, and I've always liked him. He was an actor in British dramas in the early 90s and then gradually became an international actor with international profile. But he's going to be playing Khan in Star Trek Khan when it heads to podcast platforms as a drama later this year. An official Star Trek drama podcast is an interesting innovation, but the fact that they're making it out of scripts by such a prolific and prestigious creative as Nicholas Meyer is a bit odd. What do you guys think about this? I mean, is there an audience for this?
Robert really sold it to me.
Me
he
too.
Is super pro. Right? He said this is as good as Picard season 3. He said Picard season 3 was fantastic. I didn't believe him. I didn't see how it could be possible. Okay. And it's an audio drama. Love it. More of that. Yeah.
See, we all love audio dramas. I mean, do you think that they are simply happy to pitch to a minority this time?
Oh, no, because I think the culture's changed because we're living in the podcast world now where people like long-form audio, right? They like Joe Rogan.
It's a conversation, though, not a drama.
Right. So let's say you're going on a drive. You're like, I like that talk show. I'll listen to this drama. Let's give that a go. Star Trek, Khan,
yeah. I can't.
I suppose my question is, Gary, is this a gamble for a franchise like Star Trek?
Yeah,
no.
Yeah, it is. Well, a
gamble. In that, it's a new, it's a new mode of putting out the stories, and they don't have any kind of anything to go by to indicate that this kind of platform works yet. But content wise, it's perfect. I can't wait for this. if there's one thing that the general public knows, even non-Trekkies, they know Wrath of Khan and they know, quote, the one with the whales. Everybody knows those two films. And so I don't think this is just going to have niche appeal. I'm sure it's going to be great. It's a passion project from Nick Meyer. So I can't wait for this. It's going to be great. I do think, though,
I'm quite excited as well. I just wish I could see it.
The one thing I would change, though, I think, on the title card that you had up a minute ago, with the title graphic, I think there should have been like 6 A's. That would have been great.
Well, is this? I'm assuming, is this Simon and Schuster?
Ooh. I think it's just Paramount.
It's not an audio book. It's not an audio book. It's
it's by I've got this somewhere. Okay, so this is written by Kirsten Beyer and David Mack, it says here. Writers on the audio series. Produced by CBSI Podcast Productions, Secret Hideout, and Roddenberry Entertainment. So have these scripts been adapted by those two writers? Because
I'm not excited anymore. Kristen Bear is one of those that gave us the Trite the past few years. So
I do recognize the name. Yeah,
Kristen Bear actually is the one who wrote all of the Voyager extension novels, the post series.
Oh, that was supposed to be good.
Extension series.
I never read those.
It's like the DS9 stuff. It's like an ongoing connected narrative just in the books, and she did most of them.
Joining Naveen Andrews in the cast, playing Marla McGivers. Now, she was the original crew member, wasn't she, that left with Khan in Space Seed?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Oh, right, yeah.
So they've cast an actress called Ren Schmidt in that role, who has previously, we've seen her in For All Mankind, the show that Mark mentioned earlier on. So, again, another person from a pretty big streaming drama. I haven't seen Naveen Andrews in anything in a little while, but he undeniably has a profile.
He was on that. The last thing I saw him on, he was that Elizabeth Holmes on 10-part series on. It was on Hulu. It was from about 3 years ago. Remember the Theranos scandal a few years ago? It was big in the U.S. Just basically a bad drug company. She's in jail now. He played her partner in that 10-part movie. It was Amanda Seyfried was in it as well.
Yes.
Yeah, so he did fine in that. He plays a complete jackass perfectly well. Of course, we know him from Lost. This one, I won't check out Starfleet Academy. I will check out this.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain too as
I
well.
like that as an audio drama. I really like that idea. Right? I would love them to expound on that. Like, honestly, Big Finish, if it can't go to a streaming service, I think they're screwed. I just don't see their business model. It's diminishing every day.
It's this is getting mixed reception in the live chat here on YouTube and Rumble. We've got an oh dear from Matthew Pounder.
Again, that it's not a TV project, I think is actually a good thing. And Robert Meyer Burnett, saying it's the greatest thing ever. He's got great track record. I'm not going to argue with him.
Well, there is that. Although the involvement of Kristen Bear, who was a producer on Discovery, I think deflated everyone's hopes, or at least half the chat. That's yeah.
And David, you said David Mack. David Mack has written dozens of Trek novels over the last couple of decades as well.
Right. That's the name I recognize. Was Kristen Bear a insane advocate or going along with the flow of the times? If she was going along with the flow of the times, which is most likely, because most people in Hollywood are complete moral cowards. It means the flow of the times has changed, and that we're going in a different direction, and that's just the way all entertainment is going now, right? And if you don't get on board, you're just going to be destroyed. Like Doctor Who, there's another report that Doctor Who wasn't getting a Christmas episode. Well, we've all known that, but now it's news again. But it's it's like, if you wokeify something, it will die. I don't know how many times you've got to see it happen. I don't think this is wokeified. I think they have killed Star Trek to a great extent, but I don't think this is wokeified.
We've got several comments about this, and people appreciating Mark as well. Thank you. I'll be sure to pass on this to Mark. He's not on YouTube. He's a podcaster rather than a YouTuber. So we're very grateful to Mark and I don't think he's done live before either. So he really was game in joining us for this one tonight. So thank you everybody for welcoming him to the show. Sid James, Captain Kirk, says Michael Q. I think if only. No, lots of Star Trek. Lots of Star Trek cons in the live chat as well from people. And so we've got so PD Rich reminds us that Robbie got into a lot of trouble, didn't he? This has been years ago now, because he read some of the scripts on his YouTube channel. Bless him. Right. His enthusiasm when he believed the series was going to sit in a drawer for decades, I suppose, Gary.
Yeah, I know he got a little bit of into trouble for that, but he was, as that post said, very enthusiastic about what he read.
I would love to see how if they just did a traditional Star Trek show on audio, if it would go. I'm really intrigued.
I think it'd work really, really well.
I think if they had they could do a whole Star Trek channel.
Well, it's if they can make it like Big Finish 20 years ago, yes.
Yeah.
Not current Big Finish, but I'm not going to talk about that now because my blood pressure will go up.
Oh, but Star Trek's always been woke and all that sort of stuff. Matthew Pounder thinks it's a terrible choice. You have to tell us why. I mean, I think Naveen is
I think that's Kristen
he looks
Bear.
like him.
I think that was in response to Kristen Bear.
Oh, gotcha. We have. Is this casting from Strange New Worlds? No. This is for a podcast, a standalone limited series drama, which is coming out as a podcast. Mark says, I like Naveen, but I'm not sure about this. And Ray Shields, fire.
There you go. I think it would be more problematic, as Rabbi said, if it was on television, because that character is so identified with a single actor that I don't think that it would be possible to get past the fact that it wasn't Montalban we were watching.
Yeah, I know. It's Benedict Cumberbatch just owns that role.
Oh, please.
That's awful.
For those of you who don't get it, that was sarcasm.
He's a great actor, and yet he completely failed in that role, didn't he? Even in its own terms, judging just looking at the film, he completely failed to capture that character. It's astonishing. Darren says that Rob is a friend of the show, and he is due to come back on as well. I've been speaking to Rob.
Oh, wow.
He's very keen to come back. But for now, we can get his take on Khan on the Burnett Network YouTube channel. So I'll be checking that out tomorrow, absolutely, because he's the authority on all of this, absolutely. Even the font is US class, says Peter Harrington. Yeah, it's the font that we all miss, I think. Yeah. But PD Richard, his Kristen Beyer has got his dander up.
Does not have fans in the chat.
She died on SETI Alpha 5. Not Kristen Beyer. I think he's talking about Marla McGivers.
Well, one can only hope.
She died from the SETI eels going into her.
Yeah.
That's right.
This is SETI out of 5.
That's right.
More cons all around. Matthew Panther says, I'm surprised because eugenics trigger today's generation. Do they really? Everything, they're not keen on AI, are they? So I probably wouldn't be surprised.
They could say eugenics was the result of AI, and then they'll like it.
So that is Star Trek Khan, produced by CBSI Podcasts with Secret Hideout and Roddenberry Entertainment. All we've got is that it's coming to a podcast platform soon. So however long it takes them to record it, to do all the post-production on it, we'll get it then, I suppose. So we'll stay tuned, and who knows, it could be the first audio drama we actually review on this show. That brings our roundup of all things Star Trek in the here and now in 2025 to a close for now. We're all big Star Trek fans here on the panel, and it's something I think it's nice to just go back to every now and again, just to see what, because none of us are very enthusiastic about the lower decks and the various other things, and even Strange New Worlds. My enthusiasm for that is somewhat dimmed, but there is light at the end of the tunnel, I think. And if Shatner could be involved, Gary, if this audio goes down well, who knows? They may adapt it, or there may be a book coming out of it. I think it all feeds in incrementally to pull Star Trek out of the mud. And if the changeover happens,
I would love them to use audio as a trial system, right? To see if things are successful. It's like a low-cost way of like premiering ideas. Remember that we talked about the last week, I think, the Peter David alternate Star Trek spin-off that was having the
New
same
Frontiers.
That's the one, right? That could work great on audio. Yeah, there's a lot they could really do. Actually, I would do it out if I was doing a Star Trek audio channel, right? Or offering that as part of Audible or something like that. That's some programming I'll totally do. Adaptations of novels that people like, books on tape. You would have all the books on tape library, original, and then fan shows, original fiction. They could really do well with that, and they would have a fantastic testing ground for new ideas.
They're giving us stuff that's actual, that we recognize as Star Trek. William Shatner is Kirk, the character of Khan, and it's like people see that as real Star Trek, so it's exciting.
Good, the culminative effect of saving Star Trek from complete utter disaster would be great to me. Maybe somebody could sign an executive order to sort that out for us. I don't know. Someone out there may be able to save Star Trek with just a flick of a pen.
He's been busy, but we're doing great work. I'm telling you, Dan, you've got to, I've sent you via Messenger the clip to that Zelensky meeting.
Thank you.
You've got to watch it. It's the best thing I've seen I can remember on TV.
Yep.
I absolutely will. I do. I love all that stuff. I mean, again, I've become a big Trumper. That's what he calls them, isn't it? A Trumpers. You put him together with J.D. Vance as well, and I'm not hearing anything I don't like so far. But make Star Trek great again. Maybe one day we're going to keep watching and waiting and find, and then obviously we'll find out. I don't think I'll have the heart to watch Starfleet Academy, particularly after Section 31. Strange New Worlds, I still haven't. I think I probably will watch it, Chris, but I'm just doing it with
I'll watch the first episode probably. But I'm not holding out much hope.
I think I'll watch it until I can't. Right when it gets too much, I'll be.
That's a good point.
Is that where you are as well, Gary? Or
I think that's a very valid plan. You watch it until something until you get to the point where it's like, I just can't do this anymore. But until then, I'm always in favor of giving it a fair shot.
Problem is that already happened. It was the musical episode.
Well, the original series had Spock's brain too.
I didn't hate that as a kid.
No, the musical episode was irredeemably awful. Yeah. The dancing Klingons. It was very, very bad.
Star Trek, redeem Star Trek. Someone out there somewhere.
Psst. Got any dirty videos? Bet you haven't seen this. The Scotch Video Head Cleaner. It cleans up dirty pictures caused by dirty video recording heads. Oh, glory. Look at that bone structure.
I do love those. Those ads. We end where we began in the 80s, looking at old commercials and talking about old stuff. Thank you again for another fabulous live stream, guys, here at the Spacebook Live. All those terrific comments and great conversation. And absolute raging smut. Like I say, collectively, we've all been cancelled at least 15 times each. What's a couple of more times going to hurt, Rabbi?
You actually get to enjoy it after a while. Lie back and think of England. That's what I say, darling.
while you're being cancelled. Yes. So, Rabbi. Yes. So, thank you for staying up again. You were live streaming earlier on.
Although I'm about to like fall asleep.
You are. So, this is you on X, right? And you're on Rumble, YouTube.
Follow me there, and then follow me on YouTube, and then follow me in every way. Right, in my every women desire shall be your mission to fulfill. That's all I'm asking, and I don't think it's being excessive.
Eye-popping thumbnails, just amazing stuff.
Well, I do want.
You did another great Verada Sethu one earlier in the week. Thank you.
Oh, right, when it was Lesbian Awareness Month or something, I was like, well, okay then.
Yeah,
we'll make ourselves more aware of lesbians if you insist.
Yeah, people have messaged me asking me if I'm going to go and meet her when she's at one of the signing things.
That was me.
I don't think you can.
I think that would be unwise.
Yeah, I would recommend against it.
No, Dan, then you can come back on and tell us all about your restraining order.
Yeah, it won't be good.
Playtime continues next time. Obviously, thanks again, Chris. Another fabulous PSA as ever. Some great commentary. What have you got coming up this week? What are you looking forward to watching? And do you have any video ideas cooking? Are you just counting the weeks until the Time Lord comes back? What's going on in Chrisland and the world of Bowls Trek?
Well, yes, I will at least be covering the first episode of RTD's Dumpster Fire. It's up in the air as to whether or not I'm going to have the stomach to do an entire season, because that was just unpleasant last year. I may do some of the episodes. I am looking forward to this finally being the end of it, because honestly, I don't want to do it anymore after this. But yes, Dr. Nutty and Diversity Hire number 6 will be featured on the channel this year. And what am I watching? I have no idea. I did get a delivery. One of the only things I bought this month, actually, during the cast. I'm getting the older Scream Factory releases that I missed, back when they were good.
So you said you were filling some gaps.
So today I got from Amazon The Leopard Man from 1943. I may be watching that later today.
Leopard Man. Sounds,
it's a man who's a leopard, starring Dennis O'Keefe.
It sounds very kind of kitsch.
Oh, it is. It's 1943, dude. There's going to be lots of smoking and politically incorrect everything. So, yay.
Excellent stuff. Thanks again, Gary. Another week, another cap.
Absolutely. You can find me on with the great John Yulden on the Sci-Fi Chronicles channel. We have a lot of great movie and TV reviews coming up. We got Planet of the Apes. We're going to do Galaxy Quest. We got classic,
great movies.
Classic Trek. So,
what Planet of the Apes movie are you doing?
We're actually doing the entire Apes oeuvre, including the TV shows and the cartoon. But we started with the original, but we're going through everything chronologically.
Planet of the Apes is one franchise that never went woke, and pretty much every entry is great.
That's right.
I need to watch the last 2.
Oh, they're good. The only bad one was the not the Johnny Depp
Tim
one,
Burton.
the Tim Burton one.
Yeah, we'll be doing that too.
I even like that. I like it. I like every Apes thing.
But still, overall,
I love every ape I see. There you go.
Yeah, big apes. You can't go wrong. Can't go wrong with an ape, can you? Go ape every time. Yes, thanks again, Gary. And look forward to having you back next time. Sir. And you're doing Type 40 with us this week as well. We can't talk about that.
Yeah,
special Type 40 coming up. Yes, I'm Dan. You can find me on X as the Spacebook, where I'm banging on about whatever movies, TV, comic books, popular culture, politics, family stuff, retro stuff, and general smart arsery. And now and again, I bait writers from Doctor Who magazine if the mood takes me. That was a lot of fun this week. So if you want a ringside seat for round 2, go and follow me on X for some more fun and games by all means. And I'll see you back here for more Spacebook Live next time. Heaven knows what we'll be covering. There has been lots more happening, but yeah, we can't cover it all in the one show. Thank you, everybody, for the comments. Let's go and get some more comments before we head off. We've got who's here. That's because the studio put the dampeners on the Tim Burton one, says PD Rich. So are you a Tim Burton apologist as well? PD Rich, I love it. Absolutely love it. Skip the Tim Burton one, says Matthew Pounder.
It was called Ape. It was called Ape.
There you go. Lucy Meow says, I would like to watch more Balls Trek vids.
There'll be some. I don't know how many. There'll be lots of yelling, sarcasm, and and lots of anger. I'm going to start a pool. So from the time I publish my video, how long before the first hate video comes out? And the winner gets a visit from Frank when he's out of jail.
Who's going to be very, very accommodating by then.
Mm-hmm.
So much further than that, can you? The Great Star Trek Roundup Show, everyone. May the wind be at our backs. Which film was that a quote from?
That is Star Trek 3.
Star Trek 6.
Star Trek 6, is it?
No, Star Trek 3 when they steal the Enterprise.
That's right.
Oh, right. You're correct.
Fans of Dr. Zaius in the live chat, including you, Gary. Very popular.
I love you, Dr. Zaius.
What's
popular
that,
monkey.
the Persuaders?
Oh,
it's the Persuaders.
This picture, Persuaders.
Great Roger Moore and Tony Curtis. I think we talked about that a couple of weeks ago as well. But it's one of those timeless favourites from my teenage years. And not watching the show live, but when it came out on VHS, that's when I got into it. When I got into most of these things, because they just weren't available to watch. We've been available to watch, though, of course, as ever. We've been on YouTube and Rumble, taking comments from a live chat there. Thank you, everybody, for all of that. And what a show. Thanks again to Mark Newbold. You can find him on Fantha Tracks, Making Tracks and Making Treks, all podcasts across various platforms. But if you go and follow him over on X, you can find links to all of that. It's all at the touch of a button. That's it for us this time. Thanks again, everybody. More comments on everything we talked about down below, by all means. But that wraps it up for this one. We're going to hit the road. See you next time. Bye-bye.